They may offer you fortune and fame, but whatever they offer you, don't feed the plants. All right, there we go. That's how it works. Welcome to the Cinefanatics. My name is Robert Adams. And he's still muted.
Why does StreamYard not do the same thing every single time? I'm Grizz Adams.
and Torie's muted too. I can't unmute her.
I unmuted. Am I not mute? Hello?
There you go. There you go. Now we got it.
Yeah.
Welcome.
No, I did it while Chris was.
Welcome to the Marquee. This is a show where we tier rank some of our favorites in movies. Tonight, we will be tier ranking musicals, part 1. The reason it's called part 1 is because there's a ton of musicals out there in different facets and categories, and we need to try to make some kind of sense out of this, so it is being split up. So that being said, we already have another huge list of musicals that we are wanting to do, so...
And there's even a third list that's being formed slowly.
Yeah. And this isn't even talking about like the Disney musicals or like there's just so many. Like, so we're going to be doing musicals for a while, probably not back to back. So be on the lookout for more musicals, especially if this one's any good. So we'll see how this goes. Tonight, we are joined by special guest Torie Rose. Hello, Torie.
Hello.
Welcome back.
I had asked, I think, months ago. I was like, if you ever do a musical episode, I have to be on. So
that's the other thing too, is I know we have a lot of like friends and people in our like community that all love musicals that would love to be a part of this. And we will reach out to probably most of y'all at some point to join on this. But yeah, I mean, theoretically, Torie was the first. So of course we have to include her on here. So just be on the lookout for those as we go. First thing, also right off the bat, I just endured an entire week of like 20 plus movies or so. So
which means his game's going to be off tonight as he tries to host this thing.
Which means if I'm off, that's why. I should have planned this better and taken the entire day off today from work and from streaming, but no, I soldier on because I'm tough like that, I guess. Whatever.
And also because can't afford it. So go ahead and hit that Streamlabs and send us your list and let us know where your ranking is on all of these particular musicals.
That was like the perfect segue right there too.
Happy Halloween.
What do you got, like pumpkin spice beer?
It's pumpkin ale.
She's drinking
Interesting.
Ale.
Interesting.
I always try a different pumpkin beer every year. So
on the other hand, I'm drinking spiced apple sparkling water.
And I'm having just regular water.
Oh my God, that's smell like pumpkin spice.
All three people drink all at the same time. Anyways, as my brother was doing, this was a good segue to the YouTube thing. Streamlabs.com/Cinefanatics. You got any questions, comments, issues, complaints? That is a good place to get it voiced and heard. If also you would like to drop your ranking of these movies, feel free to send it through Streamlabs. We will read those off at the end of this program. And then patreon.com/Cinefanatics. If you feel like we are worthy of your support and you have the means to support us, please hop on the tier that's good for you. There's only a $1 and a $5 tier. So $5 tier gets you all the good fun stuff like the movie watch along and the monthly movie trivia hangout with us. So hop on there. Please help us out and support the channel. We thank you ever so much.
And if you don't, you'll end up making a face that Torie just made.
This is pretty nasty. So
it can't be any worse than the pickle beer that me and Chris had that one time.
That was terrible.
That was absolutely disgusting.
It tastes like artificial, like pumpkin spice in a beer. And I've had good pumpkin beers before where it's just like the essence of pumpkin is there, but it's not in your face artificial. And that is not this. That is not this.
Anyways, the movies for tonight. Again, if you are part of the Patreon, even at the $1 tier, you get access to our Discord, and we will list all the movies that we are tier ranking on Discord. So you have the opportunity to watch all these movies so you can give your opinion, your thoughts, your feelings in the chat live with us during the show. Sometimes during the shows, we may actually ask you to vote on your choice of the movies as well as where they go. So that's not happening tonight, but we will continue on. But yes, the movies for tonight are these 16 movies? I can't count anymore.
You got 6, 12. Yes.
Yes.
Anyways, so we got those 16 movies. That's what we are tier ranking tonight. So will your favorites land? Make sure you stick with us and find out. And then let's go over tonight's rules. Hey, Johnny, what's the rules for tonight?
So Johnny wanted to try something a little bit different tonight. He's gonna go. I have to cue him up. Hold on. And they've already been seeing the rules for a while. Johnny, would you go already? At least 2 films per tier. 4 tiers can have 3 films. What? That's not me. Way to freaking kill the bit. You absolute ass.
It was the hand for me.
The hand is still out there.
It was going in a certain direction and you destroyed it. That was not yes and. That was die, you motherfucker. Die a horrible flaming death. You shit.
That was funny.
That was great.
This also gets more awful with every sip.
So what that means is you need to do a shot of something beforehand, and then it would just taste fine, because who cares?
All right, fine. Okay, look. Johnny couldn't make it. I was trying to save face for him and do something fun.
Chris killed Johnny, and he doesn't want to tell us.
I was trying. I was trying to do something there.
Look, Cat's in here with the compliment already, so.
I appreciate it, Cat. I appreciate it.
Oh my God.
Anyways. So yeah, the rules for tonight, at least 2 films per tier. 4 tiers can have 3 films. So that is the ways that we are going. And anyways, anything else before? I think we are good. Let's go ahead and bring on the marquee board. It's been a month, but Carl, take it away.
That was bussin'. That was loud.
You said that was bussin'.
That was bussin'.
Carl was bussin'. Carl's really good at his job, so.
He's always doing it with a smile on his face, too. Coming to work with the exact same outfit on, not aging whatsoever, looking the exact same way, and doing things the exact same way every single time. Look, if we're going to kill the magic on one thing, we're going to kill it on both.
The exact precise muscle movement and everything. For those of you who might be fans of Carl, you can check out Carl in the... Was it The Majestic?
The Majestic, yeah.
I think that's where Carl's from. So yeah, if you haven't seen it, we highly recommend The Majestic. Unfortunately, there's not really any singing in that movie, so we won't be talking about it anymore tonight. We will be talking about movies that there is singing during. So those of you who may not be familiar with tier ranking, this is the marquee board. As you can see, it starts at the letter S and goes down to F. We will be going through these movies one at a time, giving our opinion, and we will take the average of those opinions on where they rank, with S being the best and F being, well, what do you say to things that you don't like that begin with the letter F?
Flippin' nah.
That's what that means, exactly. So that's where these are going to go. Where are yours going to go? We're about to find out. So... any other questions? Are we good? Everyone ready?
Just want to be clear again. We have a guest tonight, so we will not be pulling the chat for the third voice.
Yes.
The hills are low.
Unless there's a movie that Torie, for some reason, hasn't seen, in which case then I'll pull the chat for that movie. But
in the meantime, I also want in on whatever the community office party is. I know there's like a side bet going on with this stream tonight. At what point in this is Robert going to sing? We're about to find out, because so far, if y'all are keeping tabs, both my brother and Torie have now sung, and I have not, which is weird. What's wrong with this world?
I mean, I wasn't supposed to. Johnny was supposed to be here, but
yeah. Either way, this is weird. So let's kick things off with our very first movie. It is the 1952 classic, Singing in the Rain. Torie, let's go and start with you.
So I've seen this movie once. I need to rewatch it. Chris, what did I watch this with you?
You watched it with your other friend,
Ariana.
Yeah.
I'm like, I think, yeah, it was when I was staying with her. We actually watched a bunch of these, me and her together, and Sam over in Massachusetts. But anyway, this is a really good movie. I didn't expect to like it as much as I did. Spoiler alert, but when La La Land comes up, I think this is well known. I'm not a huge La La Land person. And a lot of people compare these two movies, La La Land and Singing in the Rain. So I saw La La Land first, and when I went back to watch this, I just had in my head, I was like, well, this is probably not going to be for me either. But I just think it's charming as all hell. Like, it's a feel-good movie. I think it's perfect for when you're feeling a little down and like you want, just a movie's movie. Like, it's well made, it's funny, it's witty, the romance hits, the dance scenes hit. Like, it is just a movie's movie for me. That being said, there are some other movies on this list that I personally hold higher in terms of rewatchability, watching it over and over again, my personal taste. And since we can only have, it's 2, right, in S? I didn't just make that up in my head.
So it's 2 per tier, but 4 tiers can have 3 films.
Yeah, if only somebody sung that at the beginning of the show.
Oh yeah. I was distracted. Honestly, then in that case, like, this would be my other S tier then. If I can have 3 in S, I was gonna put it in A, but I think that this movie is solid. I think that it's a movie's movie for me. It's one of those classic movies that I think everyone should watch at some point. So yeah.
All right, so you're gonna call it S?
S for Singing in the Rain.
All right, Chris.
Yeah, literally everything Torie said, this exemplifies old Hollywood movies for me. This is the, I just want to put on something that is what Hollywood was back in the day. And this is one of those movies that just gives you that snapshot in time perfectly. Plus on top of that, music is good. The story is fun. The characters are a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun. As a La La Land lover myself, it's absolutely 100% the forefather to La La Land. It's anything I like about La La Land, I can derive back to something happening in this movie, pretty much. So this is, by all means, I think, the granddaddy of the musicals. This is the this is basically the musical of musicals. So I love it. I think it's great. This is going to be another comfort watch for me as well. Many times. I have it in S tier also.
So what was funny is I was about to pull out the whiteboard so I could keep track of everyone's letters, so then I can figure out the average of it. And then I realized what movie we're talking about, and I realized I didn't need the whiteboard for this one. Not only is this an amazing musical with fantastic songs, dance numbers, and comedy, it's also a great movie about the introduction of talkies in Hollywood. Like, you put aside the musical for this movie actually does have a good story just in the introduction of sound to movies way back when. And then you add the music, you add the dance numbers, you add the comedy and everything, and that just makes this one of the most perfect movies ever made. This movie sits as a template for other musicals to follow. So yeah, kind of like what y'all were saying. This movie, when we talk about La La Land later, we will be saying Singing in the Rain again, because that movie is probably, out of all musical movies I can think of, La La Land is probably the one that's most influenced by this movie. This movie is everything they said. I mean, I can't really say anything that they hadn't already said. This movie is S tier. This is the highest of S tiers. I also want to state real quick, because I didn't mention this before, keeping in mind we are tier ranking these 16 movies, it is going to be our opinion of where these movies land in regards to the other movies that we are comparing them to. That being said, for example, there's not a single, other than one movie, all the other movies that we're tier ranking, I like. I really like all of these movies. There's just one that, So just keeping in mind, if we put it in F, that doesn't necessarily mean it's a terrible movie. It's just not necessarily one I feel like I connect with. But
not my cup of tea.
Actually, I think that's what I have written down for the blurb about it. Is it's just not my cup of tea.
I do want to say one other thing about this, and it's that I relate to Cosmo, I think, the most.
I think everyone does.
Because Cosmo is a silly, silly goofball of a man.
Yes. Cosmo is awesome.
And I, too, am such a man.
Sure.
That is a silly, silly goofball. That is me.
You are correct. You are.
Would you like me to sing it?
No. You are a man, though.
Ah, thanks for noticing.
You can tell us about your opinion of Rodgers and Hammerstein's The King and I.
Hey, yo, this is the last movie I needed to watch for this list. I checked it out yesterday. Hey, guess what? It's fine. I'm all right with it. Movie's okay.
You heard it here first, y'all. It's a fine movie.
It's very okay to me. There was nothing that like really like. There's a couple songs, obviously, like Getting to Know You, I think has stood the test of time. I think that's a very popular one. Yeah, you wanted to sing it. There's aspects of this movie that I think have stood the test of time. There's aspects of this movie that have definitely not stood the test of time. Oh, buddy. Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, it's fine. I think as far as acting goes, everybody was fantastic in it. Shout outs to Yul Brynner, of course. But as a whole, this movie is not my cup of tea. I was kind of bored with it, to be honest. And I think there's definitely like, specifically for me, there are aspects I think in the story where there were moments that I drew on that didn't need to draw on, but I don't know if that's necessarily my problem with the movie or if it's just going to be my problem with the overall musical and how the musical is written and organized and everything. There's also like one moment that just really just kind of comes out of nowhere right towards the end. I don't know if I want to spoil it just in case for some reason any of you guys haven't seen The King and I or know about it, but it just kind of comes out of nowhere. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, sure. Last 5 minutes, I guess this is happening.
Yeah, this movie came out in 1956. Let's hold off on the spoilers as much as possible.
Hey, listen. There are people out there who really, really care about this movie, and they just haven't gotten around to it because of work and family life and
the plethora of other movies that have come out since that may intrigue them more.
I'm not as big on this movie. It's fine. It's got good music. It's all right. It's a D. It's a D for me.
Yeah. So I agree. It's a good story. It's a good story, and I love Rodgers and Hammerstein's stories. The story and the music they've had 67 years, Chris. Yeah.
Listen, you never know. You never know.
I think the story and the music are both fantastic, and Yul Brynner chews the scenery. Like, chews the hell out of the scenery every time he speaks.
Et cetera, et cetera.
And it is amazing to watch, listen, etc., etc., etc.
I can't stand that phrase anymore. Etc., etc., etc.
Yeah, I do agree with Chris though. I have this as a D.
Well, that's weird because I also have it at a D. I'm just typing in now because
easy night.
I watched this movie in high school because I was forced to in a cosmetology class. And I haven't rewatched it since then. And I was just trying to look up if the hair and makeup is like that remarkable. And I remember it being pretty, but I don't really know why we watched it in a cosmetology class. Anyway, yeah, I remember the scenes being gorgeous. I remember the story being, cute. Compared to the other musicals on this list, for me, it has sort of been usurped for me in terms of woman entering unfamiliar world. Woman is gorgeous and enchanting. I feel like there's another movie on this list, or maybe a couple, that usurps that world for me. There's a movie in particular I'm thinking of where the music is fantastic. It's an older movie, and a woman comes into the life of a family, and the hills are alive.
Yeah.
The Sound of Music. You know what I mean? And it's just like, and they're so close to me that it's like, it kind of was, it's the classic example of like something did it better.
I wonder what movie that was that you were talking
And
about.
so this one just lost, the charm for me in that way. And yeah, it's a classic kind of D movie for me compared to the rest of the list. So
I do like how strong she is in this movie. Because, like, even the fact that, like, at the very beginning, she's being told she needs to watch how she acts and talks and moves because she's about to address the king of Siam. And she's like, I don't fucking care. I was promised a house. There's no house. Peace out, bitches. So
that's an actual line from the movie, too.
Peace out, bitches. Yes.
Crazy for the 50s.
Yeah.
60s, whenever this was.
But anyways, moving on to the next one is the original 1961 West Side Story. West Side. Anyways,
never do that again. No, don't do that again.
The West Side or the
You're in Texas. Don't do that.
Can I throw up the yeah, okay.
No, you cannot. No.
You gotta love a movie that incorporates singing and dancing with gang violence. Well, on top of that, big shout out, news today. Apparently we caught Tupac's killer. So
did we?
Yeah.
Apparently.
Yeah, apparently they allegedly finally caught Tupac's killer.
Wait.
Diane Feinstein died so that we could find Tupac's killer.
Wait, Tupac's actually dead?
Yeah, come to find out. So, anyways, back to what we were talking about. Gangs and music.
That's going to date this, Marquee.
Yeah, it is. So, I like that. Like, I thought it was really interesting that kind of a dynamic. And I will say, and I know at least one other person on the dais here is going to repeat this as well. Between this and the remake, this one is the superior movie because of the look, the feel, the timelessness of this movie, the oversaturation of colors. This is a beautiful movie, especially compared to the newer one that tries to get that same look and feel, but it's done under modern movie making techniques. So you lose out like on that film grain and everything that made the original movie look like a classic old school musical movie. The acting, the singing, performances, everything was just so much better in the original West Side Story. That being said, in comparison to the other musicals that we're tier ranking, this one didn't hit as high for me. I do like it. The music is phenomenal. Lots of songs that are very, very well known. And also a lot of music and songs and stuff that get referenced by other musicals later on down the line. Kind of like what we were saying with Singing in the Rain. I know of at least one other musical that's on this list that does reference West Side Story. So I love that about it. This movie is a D for me, though. So.
Yeah, I wish as a New Yorker that I liked this movie, but I don't. I've never liked the West Side Story. I saw it for the first time, even actually before the movie. I saw like my high school produced it one year and I went to go see it. And that's why I was familiar with like the general songs, the general plot. Obviously the movie is better than the high school production I saw. But I've never been a Romeo and Juliet girly, and it's 100% like, and I think it owns this. Like it's a modern Romeo and Juliet, and yeah. I think it gets the New York City culture right. I think that the songs are catchy. While you were talking, I was thinking of like America, America, like great, fantastic, catchy, cute. I don't find the story that interesting, and to me, a musical really needs either really interesting characters or really interesting plot. I don't like any of the characters in this in a way that is like remarkable. And I don't find the plot to be saving of that in any way. Like I think you need one or the other or both. And if you have both, you're super great. If you have one, I can pull through and watch it. I never go to this movie. I never go to this story. I was not interested in the remake. I don't know. It doesn't hit with me, which is weird. So I have it at F.
Wow.
All right. And Chris?
Yeah. to my brother's point, I also think this is the better of the two West Side Stories. This one and the Spielberg remake. It's not that Spielberg didn't do a good job. I think he did. I think he did do an excellent job with the new version of West Side Story. But I feel like I connect with the characters just a little bit more in this one. And that's not to say the actors didn't do a good job in the new one, but I feel like there's just something authentic and classic about this one in comparison to the new one. Wherein I'm spending a lot of time doing the comparison here, but this one does capture that old Hollywood feel, like the big soundstage kind of sets and everything. Whereas the Spielberg one did feel like they were trying to go for that, but it felt like technology has moved beyond and they couldn't quite go back. They couldn't quite time travel backwards. And so it did feel like they were trying to do what this one just did, if that makes any sense.
It couldn't capture that magic.
It tried to, and I love its attempt. I do love the new one's attempt at doing so. But this one, it just is this one. This one just had that magic. So that being said, I enjoyed it. I think this one is fairly middle of the road for me. It's nowhere near my favorite musical. It's not going to be one that I rush back to over and over and over again. But it is one that I do appreciate for what it brings to the table. It is, like I said, middle of the pack. It is in the B tier for me. And the last thing I really wanted to say is that I do feel pretty. Oh, so pretty. I do feel pretty and witty. And that's all I really wanted to say.
You don't feel happy gay? Okay. I understand. All right, so you got B, I got a D, and Torie is F. So that's going to put it like the end of C.
Very realistically, I'm okay with that. Finish it. Say it. Patient.
Patient. Say it. Patient. Yeah, I can't wait for that. Chris had to watch that movie for this tier ranking too. We're going to have fun talking about that here in a little bit.
No, you're going to have fun talking about that.
Oh, I am going to have fun talking about that. I love that movie. Anyways, so we just started with me with West Side Story. So we're going to go back to Torie. Tell us about My Fair Lady.
Oh, this is there's like a grouping of movies on this list for me that is like very similar. It's like My Fair Lady, The King and I, Funny Girl. I feel like they all strike the same sort of limb. They live in the same tree branch for me. I think this is a cute movie. I think that it has some creative components that make it stand out for me. Again, it's one of those that I've like seen once that I need to rewatch, but I saw it like in high school, I believe. And yeah, I think the performances of this are great. I think, again, it's like witty. The romance hits when it needs to hit. And it's just very, like, I literally think of like Funny Girl, this one, and The King and I, and like the same kind of branch. I don't love it. I don't not like it. It's not going to be the first one I'm going to go to, but if it's on, I'm not upset, kind of thing. So for me, I'm going to have this in C. I like it more than I liked The King and I. But it's still not good enough for me to put it above a lot of the other movies on this list in any way, shape, or form.
All right, Chris.
C tier. Ow!
Why is you putting a C?
I just want to prove that I watched the movie. Yeah, listen, Audrey Hepburn, one of the best to ever do it. Yeah. She is, by all means, a classic in every way, shape, or form. She's talented, beautiful, all the things. She was everything. Rex Harrison. I know my brother wants to say this too. Giant dick in the movie. Just a big old dick. But you know what? He was enjoyable to watch. And I think my favorite aspect of this being a musical is that he had songs and he didn't sing a damn one of them. The entire time he's like, if you have a lady and you want to treat her right or whatever, something like that. And that's what he did for every single one of his songs. He never sung. That wasn't singing.
Listen, there's a couple of men in these movies on this list that do not sing in these musicals. They just speak the words.
There's also a couple of men who do sing in these musicals that really should not have.
Russell.
We'll talk about it.
Don't give it all away now.
We'll talk about Russell and Gerard here in a little bit.
Listen, it's Rex Harrison's doing beat poetry at best here. The old 60s version.
And we're back to rap. All right.
Essentially. I didn't realize Dr. Doolittle was able to lay down the bars like that.
Well, when he's paired with Eliza Doolittle.
There you go. Hey, we got there. Listen, there's great music in this. The rain in Spain stays mainly in the plane.
Classic.
Lot of just fun elements to this movie. Again, Audrey Hepburn's character is a lot of fun. She's very real. And in some ways, obviously at the beginning, she's very much a caricature. She very much feels like a caricature. But by the end of the movie, she very much feels real in terms of, listen, this whole thing has been about you this entire time. I'm the one who put in all of the work basically to do this. You need to show me some respect and show some understanding about what I went through and everything. And it's good. It's good. I do have it in the C tier as well. Because while it is good, and I do have great respect for this movie, there's a bunch of other movies that I tend to like a little bit more. But this is a good one, and again, Audrey Hepburn, guys. Audrey Hepburn. She was the Natalie Portman before Natalie Portman.
Yeah. I absolutely adore Audrey Hepburn in this. This is a fun movie. Unfortunately, there's a lot of this movie that just would not work nowadays. So keeping that in mind. But yeah, looking through nostalgia goggles, this movie is fantastic. I really liked it. The music is good. The story is good. Audrey Hepburn, again, is amazing. And Rex Harrison's a dick. So I, too, also have this in the C tier. I love that we all seem to be connecting very well for the most part on these so far. So let's see how long that lasts.
There's so many times where I think of like, man, if only we were selling merch, because a shirt that says Rex Harrison is a dick wouldn't quite sell, but it would be fun to own.
Yeah.
You made it so small. There you go.
I can make it big again. Don't worry.
It's so small.
She's so tiny. What are we talking about?
My Fair Lady.
Oh.
Anyways, moving on. Chris, kick us off with are the hills dead or are they alive?
I don't know, but they do have eyes.
That's a completely different tier list that very likely you won't be a part of.
That's true. That's very true. Listen, Sound of Music.
Period.
Julie Andrews, y'all. Julie Andrews is a classic.
Period.
Yeah, pretty much. This is a really good movie. We've seen. I haven't watched this movie recently, but it's played in our household so many times. This is one of our dad's favorite movies, and he played it like, gosh, every couple months or so. It feels like. Everything about the story here, and exactly as like Torie was explaining earlier, this definitely did King and I better, I think. Or at least I appreciate the story and the way they presented it in this movie a lot better than The King and I. Again, I think this is going to be a consistent theme amongst all of these musicals. Really good music and a lot of like songs that have stood the test of time throughout beyond just the movie itself. I really, now that like we're talking about this, I really do want to watch it again. I wish I had the time to have watched it again before we did this tier list, because I want to like nail down some like details. But I do just know, what was this? This was Julie Andrews and was it Christopher Plummer?
Yep.
Yeah, Christopher Plummer when he was younger.
Who doesn't look anything like Christopher Plummer nowadays. It's really weird. It's a completely different person.
Well, anyway. Yeah, it's very much, it very much feels like a completely different person, which is why I kind of was like, was that Christopher Plummer? But yeah, it's good. It's in the A tier for me, and I don't know if that's because I really like it, or if it's because it's now like a staple of having been part of my childhood so often in our household that I just have like a fondness of this movie in its existence. But I don't care either way. It's A tier for me.
Yeah. Brian, unfortunately, Mary Poppins did not make the cut this time, but it will be coming. And spoiler alert, it's probably going to be in my S tier whenever we do get around to it.
Speaking of movies that connected with us as children.
Oh, yeah, because I watched Mary Poppins every weekend as a kid. So
before I was born.
Yeah. So, yeah. As far as my opinion of The Sound of Music, I'll tell you what, I'll be honest. This movie is one of the few of my favorite things.
Raindrops and roses and...
Yes, and The Sound of Music with Julie Andrews.
Apparently that's a Christmas song now.
Yeah, it like I do remember that. Like as we were growing up, I always usually just heard that song only during Christmas. And it's weird because it's not a Christmas song. It really doesn't involve Christmas or anything Christmassy at all. But another song like that, Toto's Africa, sometimes feels like a Christmas song. But I think that's because of that a cappella group, or what was? Yeah, I think it was like an a cappella group that included it in their Christmas
medley. Their 12 Days of Christmas, and then they ended up doing Africa for some reason.
Yeah,
that's not.
That doesn't count as singing, y'all. Yeah, it doesn't. But I will say this is my favorite of the two Rodgers and Hammerstein movies on this list. Yeah. But
bye, cat.
Every song in this movie is a hit. When I first watched this movie, I was like, I know this song. I know this song too. I also know this song. Like every song they were singing, I was like, I've heard this before somewhere. So, hello, Lola. This is a fantastic movie with really, like, every song is a banger. I don't know if that's a term you can use to talk about a movie that came out in 1965, but
definitely
whatever.
Not a phrase I'd ever thought I'd ever hear about The Sound of Music.
This movie's bussin'.
This movie slaps.
Yeah. And let's be honest, you got to love any movie where Nazis are defeated by the power of family and music. So,
you got to love any movie where Nazis are defeated.
Correct, sir. I also have this as an A. It's great. I love it. If it wasn't for another movie or two, this would have been higher. This would have gone S easily.
Another movie or two, or three, or maybe four.
Julie Andrews, period. Like, there's nothing. Look at her. Look at her in this poster. She fights Nazis with the sound of her voice. Okay, like, what are we even? This was the first superhero film that really made it big, you know? Like, she is a superhero. Look at her. She's in the pose. Like, she is Jesus and Superman all together. Like, there is no... This movie, like...
The Sound of Music is Riz.
Riz. It's so good. Like, what... I don't... It's just... It's just another one of those, like, feel-good, like, movies. And I don't know, like, the way she's just, like, so kind to the kids and, like, brings the family together and sort of, like, prepares them, which there's another movie on this list that reminds me in a weird way of this. Like, things happen in the beginning of this movie that prepare the family for what they're going to face at the end.
I know what you're
And Julie Andrews essentially is necessary for the family to survive, in my opinion. Like, if there's no Julie Andrews coming in to visit this family, they will fall apart and at what happens to them at the climax of the movie. And I think that that's so, like, good. I think that I love, like, that in a movie, like, setting us up and being like, why are these things happening? And, like, what's kind of happening? And then you see it and you're like, oh, like, she was necessary to get them out of here. and bring them together so that they'd be strong enough to surpass this sort of evil that they're going to face. And it's really interesting how it parallels another movie on this list. But I think Julie Andrews, like, this is one of the best performances of all time, in my opinion, like, period. There's just a couple of other movies that I personally like more, which is why I'm going to put it at an A also. But absolutely Julie Andrews, period.
Said without her, the family would have fallen apart. They would have been destroyed. They would have been obliterated. So what you're saying is she would have been 16 and she would have never gone on 17.
Yeah. Yep.
You're saying that she's like a superhero. She's in the pose in this image, like, Nick Fury, recruit me.
Yeah. She's like on your left. That's her.
On your left.
Theoretically, she is doing Christ pose right there.
Yeah.
Like many a superhero.
Oh no, she's for sure a Christ figure. Like, I mean, arguably, like that is 100%. I think what they're trying to. Same with like a Mary Poppins figure. Like, magical person comes into a family's life, brings them together, leaves.
She's coming in to do re mi fa sol la ti do the hell out of Nazis.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
That was the catchphrase on the poster, the first poster.
She will do re mi fa sol la ti do out of Nazis.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if we had her, we would win all wars.
Yes. I believe it was a young Kurt Russell.
The oldest child?
No, I think he was younger. Because he was a child like during like the he was. I think he was in that.
Fact check time.
Yeah, I want to double check that just to make sure. If not, that's definitely one of those Mandela effect things.
You got Daniel Trueheight, who played Rolf. Looks like a young Kurt Russell.
There is someone else. One of the other kids in here. I think it's. No, there's another kid in here who actually did grow up to become someone very popular.
This brief dead air brought to you by IMDb.
Nicholas Hammond. Nicholas Hammond was one of the kids. He's the one he didn't become majorly popular, but he did grow up to become, I believe, the first live action Spider-Man in the Spider-Man TV show back in like the 70s.
No, Kurt Russell is not in it.
So. Yeah, Kurt Russell's not in it, but yeah, I could have sworn he was in that too. So yeah, that's a Mandela effect.
He's just got one of those faces.
Mm-hmm. Anyways, moving on to the next one, we're gonna start with me talking about Funny Girl. And good
luck.
Funny Girl is entertaining. I found it very slow and hard to get through. Nothing wrong with the performances. I think Barbra Streisand and Omar Sharif do a hell of a job in this movie. I think that it's just a very long, drawn out, and slow story. This movie could have been a lot better had it been shortened by about 30 minutes, I feel like, because this movie was like 2.5 hours long, and it really did not need that long of a runtime to tell the story that it was telling. Otherwise, good movie. Music was good. This movie gets the music in this movie gets referenced a lot in various places as well. So it wasn't for me. This is my first F tier, and this is the one that I would say out of all the movies, this is one I probably actually kind of dislike. So
F for funny.
My other F tier is still a movie that I do appreciate and I like, but something else has to go
is
there.
An interesting choice for this movie.
Yeah. It is.
Well, I did have to clean it up a little bit just for the image to make sense and readable and stuff. But yeah, I have it as F. Torie.
Yeah, I agree with you. I watched this with Ariana as well. It was one of like the batch of musicals we watched. I think we watched it after Singing in the Rain. And Barbra Streisand's great. We watched I think we watched Yentl like the night before this. And then we were talking about like Jewish icons.
Can you hear me?
And then we were like, we got to watch Funny Girl. And then Barbara's great. The fashion's great. Like it's again, it's just like it's the same branch for me as The King and I and My Fair Lady. Like, but out of the three, I found this one the least interesting. So for me, this is an F. Sorry, Barbara. Respect. But yeah, I didn't find the plot to be all that interesting. It is very slow. It is very long, and you're kind of like, why? And I didn't find the music to be that remarkable. There's a few catchy songs, but like compared to the rest of the movies on this list, I just didn't find it to be that great. So yeah, F tier.
I think the one interesting thing that this movie was really trying to do, and they, gosh bless them, you know, they were trying their hardest, is to convince us that Barbra Streisand at that time was not attractive.
Oh yeah, that was another weird part. I mean, it was a lot of like Jewish stereotypes laden in of like Jewish women being labeled as unattractive, but the movie doesn't like take that on head first, and it's kind of a strange place for you as a viewer in this day and age to be in.
You have skinny legs. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm like, yeah.
Your face is actually pretty. What are you talking about? I don't know. I'm on the same page as both of y'all. It wasn't for me either. I was. This is another one that I was kind of bored with. And you know, again, performances great, did a good job, but in terms of like, we're talking about like favorite musicals at this point. This one's nowhere near the list for me for favorite musicals. Barbra Streisand, absolutely talented. She did a fantastic job. Story-wise, there was a good story in there for sure. But there were just moments that just felt, like I said, with King and I, there were just moments where it felt like it kind of dragged on a little bit. It definitely was kind of slower. It was a slower roll for me as well.
Much like you talking about this movie.
I'm just really trying to kind of get across the point. And this really exemplifies how I felt while watching this movie. It's the F tier for me as well.
Yeah.
F for funny.
Where's the drama? We're all going to start disagreeing on. I know one movie that I want to fight you on.
There's going to be a couple.
There's one movie on this list that you're going to have drama with me, and there's one movie on this list that my brother's going to have drama with me. And there's one movie on this list that y'all are both going to have drama with me.
Yeah, because I see us waiting with anticipation for that one.
No, that's one of the ones I mentioned, at least.
Yeah. All right, so I started with Funny Girl. Torie, you're going to start us off with that old musical guy who's playing the fiddle on the roof.
Oh my God. This movie, if you haven't seen it, I know it's a big time commitment, but it is worth it. Like, and I think it's one of those movies that earns the length. And yes, I said that. I love this movie, and the more I think about this movie, the more I love it, and I want to rewatch it. To start with the music, it's fantastic. It's grounded. It makes sense for the time period. It's not like over the top musical music, but I mean, like, If I Were a Rich Man, like, has been copied and taken, and Gwen Stefani, like, it is just a banger. And even like Matchmaker, like there's just like all of the songs, like you hear them and then the context, you're like, this makes so much sense. And immediately, forgive me, I don't remember the main character's name.
Tevye.
What is it?
Tevye.
You immediately like fall in love with him. Like he just has this aura of a dad, and he's just your dad, and you're watching this, and the daughters are relatable and interesting, and you're watching like what their town was like. And I love this movie because I feel like a lot of Jewish movies, unfortunately, but also like I understand why, show us like during Holocaust moments or post. We rarely get pre-Holocaust. Like we rarely touch on like Jewish culture, like in a movie or in a story. before the Holocaust happens. And I understand why it was such a big deal. And of course, like I want the movies that show the during and the after to be a thing. I'm very glad they are and they cover it. But like this was so refreshing to see like what it was like before and what was lost, like what was stolen and what was taken. And that's what makes this so tragic. And the way it sort of lays in and preps you to get to those moments of like the Nazis coming, you feel the loss in a really powerful way, I think. There's a song in here toward the end about the town itself that I think is just like one of the more gorgeous moments of cinema. I think it's shot in a gorgeous way. I think that the translation, I haven't seen the musical in person and I'd love to, but I asked someone who has seen it and they're like, yeah, it's pretty much like identical to the theater production of it. Like, I mean, obviously it's not because there's a camera, but like in terms of some of the scenes and the setting, what is called the props, it's like very on point to what the musical is. And I just think that this is a necessary movie for people to watch. I think that it's amazing. I think it's tragic. And it's one of those things that like, can I say something spoilery? Can I? Not really. Can I not?
Well, so it depends because there is a lot of this movie, especially like the second half of this movie, that is rooted in historical fact. So depending on if it's something like the wedding and then on is all like historical fact for this time period.
So it's just to do with the fact that like there's moments in this movie that like are in the beginning that you're like, why is this happening? Or like, what exactly is the significance of this? Mm-hmm. And then you realize by the end that every part or every conflict in this movie is setting the characters up to be able to handle better what happens to them at the end. Like, and there's a strong religious component to this movie, obviously. Like, again, the main character talks to God just straight up in the movie, just straight up is like, God, why'd you do this to me today? Like, just
I have some
up,
money.
Like, yeah, like he's just straight up talking to him. And you're like, why is that? Like, this is interesting. Like, that's such an interesting choice. Like, they freeze frame scenes. And then you realize, like, you know, when he's going through all of these conflicts and you're like, why is this poor man going through all of these things? And like, why is this family going through all of these things? And then you're like, oh, like, it's to prepare them for what the journey they're going to have to go on. And it's just tragic. It's gorgeous. It's tragic. It's an S tier movie by far for me. Like it has to be. Gorgeous movie. Makes me cry thinking about it, which is how you know. It's really good.
Chris.
Yeah. So I haven't seen The French Connection, but apparently Gene Hackman won Best Actor for that Oscars for The French Connection over Topol for Tevier for Fiddler on the Roof. And I don't know, again, haven't seen French Connection. Sure, it's great, but that just breaks my heart, honestly, because Topol was that man in this movie was, I think, the purest definition of charismatic.
He serves this Jewish dad on a platter and makes you like, it feels very authentic. I
wanted to sit by a fire and listen to him tell me stories every night before I go to bed, honestly. Yeah. I will also be happy to tell you guys there is in fact a fiddler on a roof in this movie.
They don't lie to you. Yeah, this movie, it gives you what you want.
It opens with a fiddler on a roof. I was like, okay, cool. We got that out of the way. We can enjoy the rest of the movie now. I don't have to
and then I
sue
forgot
them
about
for false advertising.
That metaphor. It's so good. It's so good.
But was Ana de Armas in this movie?
No, and she also was not promised to be. So.
Oh, okay.
There was, however, promised a fiddler on a roof, and there was. This movie is fantastic. Yes, it is 3 hours. Yes, it is a time commitment. But I believe the phrase was no bad movie can be too short and no good movie can be too long. And this is an example of a good movie that couldn't be too long. It definitely is worth the 3 hours. I think some people may argue that they could probably cut something out, but I think those people are goofy and silly and need to hush their face. I think every ounce of this movie deserves to be there and it was just a lot of fun to watch and experience. Plus, again, yeah, the music. If I was a rich man,
the dancing, like it's just like the scene at the wedding where they dance. Are you kidding me? Chris and I were googling like there's a scene where they balance bottles on their head, and they actually do that. They actually do that. Go and watch this movie and be like, they're actually doing that.
I'm trying to figure out if they were doing movie magic and they had like some false hats or something. Like no, they were actually balancing the dang things on their heads, which was crazy. It's good. It's just really good. If Singing in the Rain wasn't on this list, it would be in the S tier for me as well. But because we're only doing 3 movies per tier, this is the very top of A. God dang, if we could have 4 movies in the S tier, this would be S tier for me as well.
Get your La La Land lower.
No.
Yeah, but take your La La Land out of that.
Spoilers, it's my favorite movie. It's not going less than S.
This is just
it's my favorite movie.
Tradition.
So, this was a movie that before I had watched it, I'm like, I'm willing to bet this movie's just going to be a big bowl of boring. And boy, was I wrong. Nope. I was actually like one of the ones that was having to tell this one, like, dude, you want to watch Fiddler on the Roof. This movie is phenomenal. It's fantastic. Topol is what makes this movie. I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't know if this movie would be even a quarter of how good it is if it wasn't for Topol being in this.
He holds the whole heart of this movie for sure.
He does so good that I'm still enthralled in the scenes that he's not in, just because I know we're going to come back to him and he's going to be a part of everything anyways.
He's so good. He has flaws in this movie that are very real. Like he is a real person that they do not make a perfect person. He does some things in this movie that I wholeheartedly disagree with. But even then, I'm rooting for him. Like, I'm like, you just need to sit down and shut up for a second and like not say what you're saying, sir. But like, you get it. And like, you see him and he just feels it literally feels like we were taken to this village and just like are watching a real family scene play out. Like it feels so authentic. It is crazy.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, I will sing the praises of Fiddler on the Roof all day. I'm going to go back to kind of something I was saying. I was trying to explain at the very beginning. All of these movies are movies that I really like, but there are some that I just like more than others. I love Fiddler on the Roof, but because of other movies, I do have Fiddler on the Roof in B. It's not a bad movie. It's not a terrible movie at all. And in any other way of doing this, I would not want to put it B. I would want to stick it in S. It is an S tier movie, bar none. But there's just other movies that I want.
Listen, the chat, honestly, guys, I'll open it up. You guys feel free to judge me for putting La La Land over this movie. At the same time, judge this man because he's definitely going to put Rocky Horror Picture Show over this movie.
It's just
what
like,
the hell?
To me, it's just like when I think about Jewish movies, this one, like, it's just so essential. It's just so essential. I love Schindler's List. It breaks my heart every fucking time. There's just so Inglourious Bastards, like the spectrum we have. It's broad. I love them, but this just feels like so essential to show like what Jewish culture was and what so many people attempted to steal from Jewish people. And it's just like, it feels like this movie is essential in terms of art. Like, oh, it's so good. It's so good.
So sure we can't put 4 movies in the S tier?
Real quick, just to clarify, it's not actually Nazis. It is like Imperial Russia that is the persecutors of the Jewish people in this movie.
Yeah.
It all
my label of Nazi is pretty broad when it comes to
we're going to use the term of
yeah.
Nazi, a group of people who hate other people, primarily Jewish people. So.
Yeah, we're talking about that city Nazi that was located in Russia.
Okay. But yes. I will also entertain potential if anyone wants to potentially put Fiddler on the Roof over The Sound of Music. Or wherever else it goes. Again, at the end of this, we're going to move things around anyways, just based off of where everything is landing. So
sorry. I know we've talked about this movie for like 20 minutes, but I also just wanted to shout out that the wife and the mom is also fantastic. She's lovable. She's rude. She's brash. that actress also did a really good job. I'm not sure of her name, but she also stands out and I think connects a lot of the important parts of this movie.
Was that Norma Crane as Goldie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
her dynamic with him is just so funny, and it's lovable, and it's great.
I love this scene where they're trying to figure out, do we love each other? Do we actually love each other?
And the fucking ghost sequence. What?
Yeah.
I also like the oldest daughter, Seidel?
Yeah,
who's being essentially like passed around because of the matchmaking and stuff. So, yeah.
But he got a sewing machine. He got a sewing machine though.
Cute little man.
Okay, so we started with Torie on Fiddler on the Roof. This one's gonna be fun. Let's start with Chris on this one.
Oh God.
How you do, I?
F.
See, you've met my
F.
No.
F.
No.
F.
Let's talk this out, Chris.
F.
Please tell us your problems.
This movie's not great.
I can't do the lip bite.
It's not good. The performance.
Okay, sorry. Before you start, whose mouth is that?
That is Is that Columbia? I think it's Columbia's mouth, and it's Riff Raff who sings.
Yeah. Okay. Let's start off. Let's do. Okay, I'm gonna put in the F tier, but we're gonna do a positivity sandwich here.
It might be Magenta's mouth. I can't remember. It's one of those two.
Focus up. We're gonna do a positivity sandwich here. Tim Curry. Amazing performance.
What a weirdo. He's such a weirdo.
Amazing performance. Listen, if you would have told me that man was actually bisexual, I'd believe you. I don't believe that man was straight. 100%. I don't think it's possible for him to have been straight. I don't know. I really don't know. It's not important. I don't like this movie. I did not understand what was going on throughout the vast majority of it. I get the basic premise, and no, I don't need you interrupting me and trying to cover over and defend anything that I'm saying, because you're going to get your chance to talk. I get the basic premise. Brad and Janet, lost in the woods, had to go figure out how to get their tire fixed, end up at this spooky, creepy house, middle of nowhere. A bunch of crazy shit's going down inside the house. End of movie. Cool. Apparently other things happen too. I don't understand the point of anything that happened in this movie. I'm sure it's all allegory to something. I didn't get any of it. Right over my head. So complete F tier for me. Now, other bread piece of this positivity sandwich. Time Warp is still a bop.
It's bop.
Time Warp is a bop.
Mm-hmm.
There's my positivity sandwich. Put in the F tier for me.
Can I go next, and then Robert will finish? Or Robert, do you want to go next?
Go ahead.
I'll let you finish. I agree, Chris, in a lot of ways. Actually, I don't apply a lot of logic to this movie. I think this is a really good. I live in California, so I can say this. I think this is a really good movie to watch high. I think if you are having like a Halloween movie month kind of thing, I think having this be like your party movie, or like, when you're high or something, is good. I don't think it's meant to be very deep. And I was even just looking up, like, the messaging is essentially just acceptance, like freedom. And I think it grabs these two like straight white cis couple, and it's in their honeymoon, right? Is there on? Am I wrong?
No.
Are they married?
No, they're coming back from a wedding.
Okay, that's what it is. I think it's meant to grab these two people who are like kind of at the epitome of having to face the sort of existential question every human faces of like, are we going to live the normal life, or are we going to be a little weird? And some of us choose the weird path where we're like, we're queer, we're weird in some way, we're going to be sexually sort of deviant from like the norm. And then another half of us sort of picks the road of, no, like, I'm going to live like, kind of the comfortable life. And I think even in that, Janet picks one road, and what's his face? Brad picks the other. Yeah, and I think that's kind of the whole movie. I don't think it's meant to be a lot deeper than that. I love the songs. I think the Midnight double feature picture show is a great song. I think Time Warp's a great song. Don't Dream It, Be It is great. I think it's gorgeous. I think Tim Curry's a freak. in a good way.
Big old freak.
Touch Me is a wild ass song. But it's like, again, like when you're thinking about like it kind of dealing with sexuality, I think it was really bold for the time period, even like even though there were other movies that were definitely sexual, it's like this was very in your face and very queer. Also, he literally tries to sleep with Brad and like makes a man to sleep with.
I think
it is kind of wild.
Successful with Brad, I would say.
Yeah, it's kind of wild. So it's kind of a queer classic movie. Like it's in that for me, like I will always have it in my heart. Like it's just kind of one of those like dumb in a good way movies. So I have Rocky Horror in B for me. It doesn't hit me as hard as it did the first time I saw it when I was like a young teenager. But I still like a lot of the songs a lot. So.
It's interesting. You're put a little bit higher than I expected to. I thought you were going to go C tier.
No, like, I think it's just it's for me. It's like the queerness part of like it's close to my heart in that way that like this is a queer classic film in my opinion. I would argue, but it doesn't hit me in a way that a lot of these other movies do.
I thought the queerness of it would have made you put it much higher.
It did make it higher for me. It's because the story is so like nonsensical for me compared to some of these other musicals on this list that have like deep meanings of like, you know, The Fiddler on the Roof and The Sound of Music and like other movies to come on this list. Singing in the Rain for me. Like it's just like it just doesn't get quite so high, but it's higher than most of the ones on this list for me. Yeah.
All right, guys. Let me tell you.
Why he wants to put this over Singing in the Rain.
Yeah. No other movie commands a movie theater like the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
That is a whole thing.
For decades, this movie has been like it still rakes in box office money because it's still playing the midnight movies with like the shadow cast and the audience participation.
And people still, after all these decades, have not figured out where that man's damn neck is.
Where's your fucking neck? The movie, like every song in this movie is catchy. Even like the floor show part at the end. It's that whole floor show is pretty much song after song after song. It like literally turns into an opera there for a while because the whole movie is just in song. And every song not only connects beautifully, they have beautiful meanings. And you're absolutely, Chris, I think you were saying it, that yes, this movie is allegory. There is a lot of it is like, being free, being who you are, allowed to just be yourself, which is also a lot of like the queer thoughts and meaning behind it. While at the same time, there is a lot of nods and throwbacks to classic Hollywood. I dare say even getting close to like Singing in the Rain, or, and Chris is going to hate me for this, the same kind of references that La La Land makes to...
You're right, I'm going to hate you for that.
Because I fucked up the title. But a lot of the same kind of references that La La Land makes to... like old Hollywood or Singing in the Rain. Rocky Horror Picture Show does that as well. And I'm going to be honest, the first time I saw Rocky Horror Picture Show, I absolutely hated it. Like, I agree. The story's nonsensical. The story really, for the most part, doesn't matter. It's such a simple, basic plot line and story that it might as well not even be there. But the ideas and everything that is the substance of this movie is what makes this movie good. And then yes, I do recommend go see it with like a group of friends at a midnight screening. Learn like the stuff that they shout and they throw at the screen and stuff. It's so much fun getting into it that way. And then just listen to the music. Don't even watch the movie, just listen to the soundtrack. The soundtrack, every song is amazing and you could sing it. I'm actually like probably one of my least favorite songs from the soundtrack is Time Warp because it's the one that gets played the most. It is still a damn good song, but yeah, just
damn it, Janet.
I love you. Yeah.
Janet.
Just this movie is so good. I absolutely love it. Can't say the same about the sequel though. So
There's
yes,
a sequel?
there is a sequel. It's called Shock Treatment. So it still involves Brad and Janet in the city of Denton, but it deals more with like this this TV show that they're on that's just really weird, and it's a lot less of like the meanings like this movie. Like I was saying, this movie has like a lot of meanings to it. The sequel is just more of a straightforward movie, and it's just it's weird. But anyways, yes, Chris, you were absolutely right when you called it earlier.
F tier, yes, correct.
This is S tier for me.
No,
so
you put this over Fiddler on the Roof, and that pains
I
me.
know, but it's the fun of it. Like I absolutely adore Fiddler on the Roof too, but I connect with the music and the meaning of this movie more.
Luckily, both me and Torie's rankings keep it under Fiddler on the Roof. So
yes,
hell yeah!
So
high five, Torie.
You said F, and Torie,
Yes.
you said B.
Yeah, B.
Oh,
S, B, and F. So it's either low B, I think, or maybe high C.
Yeah, I'm just gonna put it in B for right now.
Yeah, you would. B for B.
B for boob.
How you do I?
I was going to comment on that, Torie, but I don't want to.
We're getting to the movie about boobs soon.
There's a movie about boobs?
Yeah.
Wait. Oh.
What movie's about boobs?
Oh. Tick, tick, boob.
Oh. That's Tick, Tick, Boom, not Tick, Tick, Boob. Although I probably would rank it even higher if it... I don't know. Anyway, so we started with Chris on Rocky Horror.
Yeah, that was a mistake.
Yeah. Anyways, we'll start with me on the next one. And again, we are back to talking about movie musicals that are classic but are very problematic. Grease would be that word of a movie that's problematic.
It's the word, it's the word.
I will say, so I'll start this off talking about it.
Feeling.
Grease is probably the first movie musical that I watched or I enjoyed that wasn't a Disney musical. So
I think
it
same.
wasn't one of the cartoons, or it wasn't Mary Poppins. Grease was one of the first ones. What'd you say, Chris?
I think same.
Yeah.
I think it's the first musical I saw that wasn't a Disney.
But I mean, Grease, first of all, the soundtrack to Grease. You want to talk about a movie where just go listen to the soundtrack and don't watch the movie? That soundtrack, every single song, just absolutely amazing.
Awesome.
But yeah, like My Fair Lady, it doesn't age well. All the songs are extremely catchy and timeless. I rate this as a B, but it actually should rank higher for me just because of nostalgia factor and what it meant as me learning or starting to understand and like musicals. So I have it as a B. Torie.
I saw this movie for the first time when I was like 12, and I thought it was fine. And the songs are great, like you said. I think, it's fun, it's catchy, it's cute. They fly off into the sky at the end. I love the rabbit hole theory that like it's like a symbol for limbo or something. I don't know.
That they died.
They died at the beginning.
I don't know if I like that theory.
I like that theory. It makes it more interesting. The ending for me, like, really is just weird. Like, not even the car. It's the whole idea of like her changing her whole self to be his girlfriend.
Tell me
like,
about it, stud.
It doesn't even make sense with the rest of the movie. Like, the rest of the movie, it's indicating that like he likes her, and it's like that's not the problem. The problem is not him not being attracted to her. The problem is that they're different, and we need to somehow like make everyone else get over it. I don't understand why the answer is like, oh well, I'll just change my entire personality so that everyone will accept us together. Like, it's just kind of weird. It's just weird. And as I've gotten older, it's been like less and less and less appealing.
Mm-hmm.
Like she needs to change herself for him.
It's not even like it's not even the feminism part of me. It's just the like, it's literally like, it doesn't feel like it fits with the rest of the movie. Like, yes, like I don't like the fact that she changes herself for him. Yes. But for me, it's like it just doesn't fit with the rest of the movie to me. I thought we were going down a road, and then you just veered off, and now we're in the woods, and now we're in the ocean, and I'm confused. Like I thought we were going toward just like a different climax. And it's not that you always have to give me what I want or what I'm thinking where I'm thinking we're going,
honey.
But it's not like a pleasing alternative climax. So I put it in F.
Wow. Yeah, I do like that she changed for him. Like she changed her whole personality, the way she walks, talks, acts. And what did he do? He lettered in track.
Yeah, I'm like, it would have been quirky and funny
job,
if like they both showed up to that fair or wherever they were at, and they looked like she was dressed for him and he was dressed for her.
That would have been.
And they kind of looked at each other and were like, oh, this is just ridiculous. Like, and kind of showed like teenagers like worry about these like appearance things and fitting in more than it's actually relevant.
That would have been good. Yeah.
Like, oh, we're on. That was where the movie was going. Was like to show how ridiculous that is.
That would have been so much better.
Yeah, and instead we just have her in a leather jacket. It's just kind of weird.
Yeah. So first of all, we talked about Audrey Hepburn. Talked about Julie Andrews. Now we talk about Olivia Newton-John,
who I've seen in person sing, and
Jayne all that. She's not up there with Julie Andrews. Are you fucking kidding?
She does really good in this, though.
Are you kidding? Julie Andrews is God.
Olivia Newton-John,
a good actress, who's kind of cute.
Anyway. Look, Tori, don't make us get physical here.
I mean, John Travolta is like the hot one in this, arguably. But
me as a teenager seeing her in that leather outfit, I'll be honest. Whew.
See, I don't know. I don't love like the hair from that time either. It doesn't do a lot for me.
The problem for me with John Travolta is that he still looked like John Travolta. So there's that. Yeah. So here's the thing with this movie. Great music. Story is fine. I haven't seen it in a while. I haven't seen it in a long time, actually. And there's nothing about it that stood out to me over some of these other movies that I haven't seen in a while, but still really love. It is Nick Cage. It's John Travolta.
Sandy, I want to take your face off.
This movie would have been better if it was Christopher Walken. Hey, Sandy. Hey,
Sandy. It would have sounded the same for me.
Hey, Grease. It's the word.
This watch.
It's fine. It's a C tier for me. It's okay. There's nothing that like really stands out personally to me about it. It was okay. The music is really good. And I think that's about where the buck ends for everything that I take away from this movie that I think is like fantastic is the music. Performances are good, I guess, but overall, doesn't connect with me as much as certain other movies on this list do. Definitely, if we're looking at like, for me, like Fiddler on the Roof kind of being a threshold here, does not pass that threshold at all. It's very much a C tier for me. But still, Olivia Newton-John.
Yeah. All right. So I said B, you said C, and Tori, you're saying F.
Yeah. And she ain't all that. I said what I said.
You certainly did.
I did.
So this is probably going to go for right now. I'm going to put this. This would probably go like the end of C.
I said C. You said what?
I said B. You said C, and Tori said F. So I'm thinking it's going to be somewhere over here, but B and C would
pull it
up a little higher here.
Yeah, I think that's about right. I get what I want. Put it in the C tier.
I do what I want. Do what I want.
Excuse me?
I was trying to twist the words to the song.
That summer night. I've been wanting to do that this entire time. I'm sorry, everybody whose ears are now bleeding at home. It's just
what even is that from? Because that's not from Grease.
That's
this-
the very end of Summer Nights when they hit
That
that.
does not sound like at all.
They hit
how
that
it sounds.
stupidly obnoxious high pitched falsetto note.
That I literally y'all
Listen,
are the movie
I
there.
might be off key.
That was very.
There's a very good
apparently,
chance
because
we
I did
are,
not
yes.
even recognize it.
Might be off key by a smidge.
There's a reason we started a YouTube channel to talk about movies instead of trying out for American Idol.
But it was part of the song.
Yeah. All right. So who started us with Grease? Was that me?
Yeah.
Okay. So Torie, we are starting with you. With the mean green mother from outer space. That would be Little Shop of Horrors.
Hey.
Oh, what a movie. What a movie.
Don't lie to me.
I saw this for the first time pretty recently, and I think I tweeted about it. It was in the summer, maybe. And I watched both. I watched the is it like the 70s, 80s version? 70s, 80s?
So there's the 60s version that's the black and white. That's the Roger Corman one that had Jack Nicholson playing Arthur
But
Denton.
what is this one?
This is the 80s
Great
one.
names.
That's
Okay.
the musical.
I watched this one first, and I actually went back and watched the 60s one because I needed to see Jack Nicholson, and he's a weirdo, and it's fantastic. This movie is great. This movie is similar to Rocky Horror in that it's pretty nonsensical, but this movie I think owns the nonsensibility like really well. I love like what is it, like the slums like that they're living in.
Skid Row.
Yeah, Skid Row. The character of what's his face? I'm bad with names. The main character,
Seymour.
like him just like, you know, realizing that this plant needs to eat people and then kind of being stuck in this situation. He's so awkward. The plant, the voice, are we kidding? Like when the plant starts talking.
Levi Stubbs. Yes.
Yeah, you're just like, what is happening in this movie? And then you're like, oh God, now it's eating people.
Hey,
and
Miss Seymour.
yeah, the music is just wild. This is an acid trip. Like, this is a good movie to do acid to. You know what I mean? Not to tell anyone to do acid.
She's speaking from experience, y'all.
I just hypothetically good movie to do
Shrooms,
acid
maybe. Acid, no.
to. Feed me. Yeah, it's great. It's relatable. It's great. I also get like that when I'm hungry. I'm like, please, just
Feed me. Put
feed me.
blood in me.
Yeah. Maybe not that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really like it. I think it's a fun time. I think I watched this like after I did the Invasion of the Body Snatchers because it felt
It's a
in
good
that
double feature.
realm. Yeah, that actually would be a really good double feature. And I love anything like that where it's like a weird alien is like eating people or doing some weird shit. So this is an A for me. A tier movie. It's good.
Chris?
I'm currently sad that we're not getting the version of this that stars Chris Evans as the dentist because that would be fantastic.
I was eagerly wanting to see how that would play out.
Yo, off the back of Knives Out, come on.
They
Yeah.
could redo this and it would do well. I don't know why
They were talking about it, and they were talking about casting Chris Evans as the dentist and in the Steve Martin role, basically.
Or in Scrivello, DDS.
Yeah. Would have been fantastic. This is a good movie. It's good. Again, every movie on this list, great music. Great music. And I think one of the things I appreciate most about this movie is the ending. I like a lot better than the actual stage production. I hate endings that kind of leave me in like utter just despair. Specifically, talking about the stage production, dealing with the ending of the human race, basically. Wasn't a huge fan of that. I like the direction this movie went a lot better. I like the performances. Steve Martin as the dentist, classic. Rick Moranis, classic. It's just, and then of course Audrey too, the plant. Practical effects, guys. Practical effects, real quick. The practicality of the effects on Audrey too. Evergreen.
The way that they did the puppeteering of Audrey 2, the mouth movements and everything still holds up today. It still looks like that plant actually is alive. It's amazing.
So a lot of good things to say about this. It is, for me, it's in the B tier. It doesn't land as high because, again, many great musicals on this list. For me, it doesn't connect as much as some of these others, but still good in the B tier, solid in the B tier for me.
We're going to stick anything that has the word horror in the title is going in the B tier. Torie, where did you want to put this?
No, I'm putting Rocky Horror Picture Show in F.
Okay, so Torie, you said A. Chris, you said B.
Yep.
This is going to come as a surprise.
S tier.
I wish I could make this S tier. This is one of my favorite musicals ever. It's fun, cheesy, funny, totally insane. If you didn't know anything about this movie, that just the song that Steve Martin sings is absolutely amazing. I wish we didn't already say who he was and what his profession was, because it makes that whole scene. The first time you see him is on the motorcycle driving down New York. When I was younger, just a bad little kid. And he's talking about how much of a sadist he is. And then you find out you'll be a dentist. It's so great. It's amazing. Every song, this is another one of those I feel like every single song of this I love. I mean, Somewhere That's Green was very well mocked and played in Family Guy. A little on the creepy side because it was Herbert the Pervert singing about his life with Chris Griffin. Somewhere That's Green, where Herbert is playing the role of Audrey, but yeah, it was really weird. It's funny. If you haven't seen it, go check that out.
Feed me, Chris.
They play the entire song. They don't change anything about the song. They just put Chris and Herbert in the visuals of Seymour and Audrey, and it's great.
Need a little taste of that human blood.
I am a fan of the movie, but I fell in love with this because when I was in high school, we did the stage performance of it, and we did the original performance that the end of the performance is everyone dies, and Audrey is taking over the world. Basically, Audrey 2 is taking over the world, and I love that they found that footage and they restored it, gave us like the full color version, full like soundtrack. It is the original ending to this was one of the most expensive deleted scenes ever in a movie. And it's crazy how much money they spent on that ending just to completely throw it away. If y'all haven't seen it, I do recommend go find that like on YouTube or whatever. It's great. God, I love this movie. I can't say enough about this movie. I wish I could put S tier. There is one other movie that I am putting on S tier over Little Shop of Horrors, or pretty much over any other movie you think I would put S tier. There is one that I know at least my brother is thinking that I'm going to put S tier, and it's not going S tier because there is another movie that I feel like is more deserving. I have a little bit more of a personal connection with. So we'll get to that here in a little bit.
No, there's definitely one movie on this list that is very clearly S tier for you.
Well, you might be correct then on which one you think it is. We'll see. It's coming soon. Everyone hold on to the edge of your seat and we'll see.
Don't go anywhere.
Yeah. I have this as A. I wish I could put an S, but I will want to put this in the highest of A's though, just because I love it.
Well,
so we got 2 A's and a B.
It's going in the lowest of A's.
Yeah. Dadu. Yeah, I love Little Shop of Horrors. I was actually working on something. It was the other night after I came back from Fantastic Fest. I was working on the thumbnails for Saw and whatever else, and I was playing Little Shop of Horrors on my computer while working on graphics and stuff, and just absolutely love it.
Before or after you met the guy from Spy Kids?
I love that that's your point of reference. Everyone else was like, "You're the guy from Lord of the Rings."
Spyro. He was Spyro the Dragon. So
Yes, I got to meet
Frodo.
So the picture is up on like Twitter and Instagram or whatever, and I'll be doing a video ranking all of everything I saw at Fantastic Fest. So you'll see that picture again.
He'll be doing a special marquee where he's tier ranking all the people he met during Fantastic Fest.
I mean, there's a lot of people I got to meet.
Scott Derrickson is in the A tier.
Yeah. Scott Derrickson, C. Robert Cargill. I got to meet the guy who played the Predator.
Hey, we're going to talk about it on
Anyways.
Tagline. You don't need to do it right now. We got too much else to do.
That's the tease for everyone to come watch Tagline on Wednesday. Anyways, moving on. So that one was Torie that started. Chris. Chicago.
Stop.
This is the one that Torie should have started on.
Don't let him start this one.
No, let Torie start this one.
Torie.
I'll do
Chicago.
This is why I'm here. I mean, what are we even talking about here? Catherine Zeta-Jones. What even? What? Look at her.
Audrey Hepburn.
Look at her back.
Julie Andrews.
Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Olivia Newton-John.
What's his face in the middle?
Richard
and then it's Judy, right?
Renee Zellweger.
Yeah, that lady. Listen. And then Queen Latifah. Are we kidding? Are we kidding with this movie? Like, from the jump, the opening of this movie is so interesting. You are locked in immediately. The song is a banger. All that jazz. Are we kidding? She's sexual as fuck. She's alluring. And then you're like, there's been a murder. And then you're like in this whole thing. And then the fucking cell block tango, cinema. Like the water droplet, and then it goes into song, and then you get the stories in the song. Mr. Cellophane, also a banger. What's his face is also great. I don't know anyone's names.
Come on, Richard Gere.
Richard, yeah, Mr. Cellophane.
John C. Reilly.
Oh, John C. Reilly.
He's great. All he cares about is love. That song is great. Roxy's great. Like, it's just so good.
Man, this did have a cast. Lucy Liu, Taye Diggs.
Lucy Liu, like
Taye Diggs.
She shows up and you're just like, Lucy Liu is in this, and then like she's gorgeous and she murdered someone, and you're just like this is a girl's girl movie. This movie is for the girls, gays, and theys. It beat The Two Towers at the Oscars, and that's iconic. That is iconic. Like, I can't even imagine if we had Twitter that year, what Twitter would have been.
Woke.
Because, woke, #women, #feminism.
No, Twitter in that year would not have been that.
But, like, I mean, people I'm sure were pissed about The Two Towers losing to this, because, like, they're just so polar opposites.
Yeah, they were so pissed. That's why Return of the King won everything the next year.
I think still it would be like Barbie beating Oppenheimer. I mean, like,
that's likely to happen.
I'd be fine with
that. It's so good. It's cinema. The costumes, the hair, the Catherine Zeta-Jones of it all. I think I've told the story, but I have a friend who is bi as well. And when she was 8, she used to request from her dad that this movie be put on every morning when she had breakfast before she went to school. And she would watch all that jazz sequence. And she would just watch that every morning as like an 8-year-old while she ate her breakfast. And it's like, it's so good. It's so good. It's so good. S tier. Anyway.
Yeah, go ahead, Chris.
B tier. Listen, I didn't go see for Chicago. It was a very enjoyable movie. There's a lot of fun stuff happening. The characters are wild. They're just a lot of fun to watch. Dance, sing, do all their stuff on screen. Everyone's killing it. The performances are fantastic.
Oh, sorry. I forgot to even talk about the whole idea of women in Hollywood being valuable for like 5 minutes, and then they get thrown out the fucking window for the next hot younger woman. Like that storyline element is so interesting and so true. And it's just like the way they depict it of like, yeah, you got to be really interesting. And the whole ending of the movie, I guess I'm just spoiling it. The whole idea of Roxy and Catherine Zeta-Jones is Velma Kelly's character. They get famous only when they did something awful. And it's like the idea of like the Kardashian effect of like women can only achieve greatness a lot of the times in society if you do something awful or like depraved or like you sell yourself in some way. And I think that part of it is also what makes it so interesting, because you're like, literally, like these women are so talented, but they would not have made it to where they got in the movie in terms of fame without doing an awful thing. And you're like, and then people let them get away with it. And that's the whole joke of it, is like, they should have gone to jail. They murdered people. Dead up. The movie doesn't even lie to you about it. It's like, yep, they murdered someone and they get away with it. Anyway, Chris, continue with your wrong opinion there.
Yeah, B tier, brother, go.
I did go C for Chicago on this.
What's C?
It's very well done and enjoyable. Again,
what is wrong with you?
Again, keep in mind, other than Funny Girl, I like all the other movies on here. It's just a matter of which ones do I connect with a little bit more than others.
I see where we all land with this list right now. You're Rocky Horror Picture Show. I'm La La Land. This one is Chicago.
Yeah,
I see what's going on here.
Because it's the right choice.
I didn't connect with this. It's a fun movie.
Whose movie out of those three won the Oscar? Who?
Well, exactly.
Who?
There's
La La
a reason
Land for 2 minutes.
Ouch. That was good setup there. Thanks, Torie. Again, it's a very good movie. There is a reason why this movie won the Oscars. It's very well done. I've seen the stage production of it, not in high school, like in actual like traveling on tour, full-on production. And I loved it. I thought it was great. I just don't connect with it as much as I do everything else. It's not that it's bad. It's just I think everything else is better.
I think if I saw a live production of women in like lingerie performing Cell Block Tango, I think I would vomit on the floor in like the most like sexual way. Yeah.
Well, let's not do that.
Like I would see them and I would just be like,
listen,
and I would just like collapse and vomit on the floor.
Real quick, Torie, I'm not gonna say that you're wrong about Chicago and its Oscar and all that, but I do keep in mind that Crash beat Brokeback Mountain for the Oscar, so that doesn't necessarily mean anything.
What even is Crash? I've never even heard of that movie before.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Bingo. It was a movie.
So Chris, you had it B, I had it C. Torie, what did you have Chicago?
S.
Oh, that's right. So
First.
B, C, and S.
Cell Block Tango. Yes, I know it starts with a C.
So that would go either at the end of A or at the beginning of B. I'm thinking the beginning of B.
SBC.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's wrong. Wrong.
Probably beginning of B, yeah.
Wrong.
It's at least going over Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Hey.
The hills are alive.
I'm very much going to have to suffer with La La Land being a lot lower than I want it, so guess what? Everyone else has to suffer with their movies being lower than they want them to.
La La Land is not as good as Chicago or Singing in the Rain.
Your arguments fall in deaf
or
ears.
The Sound of Music or Fiddler on the Roof.
Okay, so now's when we're going to get into a point where we're talking about more modern movies, and a lot of times these movies may have an active stage version currently going on, or it was going on very recent. So this is the point where I'm thinking we're going to see where we may be comparing the movies to the actual stage production as well, and that might have an influence. For example, Phantom of the Opera. I I love Phantom of the Opera. This is another one that I've seen the stage production in the same way that I saw Chicago. When it came here to Austin, Bass Concert Hall, it was gorgeous. Scared the crap out of me because I hadn't seen anything related to Phantom of the Opera, and I happened to be sitting in the theater right underneath the chandelier.
Yep.
Not a good place to be sitting at when you don't know what's about to happen in this movie. Great movie. Wish I brought an extra pair of underwear. Just saying. Yeah. Masquerade, I was posing as someone who lost control of themselves. Not really, but I think the movie is deeply erotic and romantic. And it's amazing how they pulled that off from the stage production. The thing that I don't like about it is, two things. The stuff that they changed from the stage production to the movie, some of it I can kind of understand, some of it I don't. Like, why did they move the chandelier to the end of the movie when the chandelier was the end of the first half of the stage production, and it was like the catalyst for everything else afterwards? And it felt very jarring in the movie. And I guess it might be, if you didn't know that and you watched the movie, no problem whatsoever. But knowing that, it felt off for me, especially in the fact that because the chandelier didn't come at like the halfway point, a lot of the music and like the lyrics and stuff for some of the songs that are referencing the chandelier were changed. It was odd. The second thing that I felt strange about was Gerard Butler singing. I guess it was okay, but
it was great. It was fine. I don't know why.
I wasn't a big
He
fan
was a
of it.
hunky, creepy man.
He was fine.
He is. His performance is good. It was just some of his singing. When he's singing Music of the Night was a little weird, I think, in my opinion. But
I think you need to rewatch the movie again.
Yeah, I mean, possibly, but
I think you got Russell Crowe on the brain for some reason.
Oh no, we'll talk about Russell Crowe plenty here in a minute.
No, yeah,
but yeah, I didn't like Gerard Butler's singing. It was passable, it was serviceable, but yeah,
it was very theatrical.
It is, I guess. But yeah, the rest of the performances in this movie, like, I actually really did like Emmy Rossum as Christine. I think she did a phenomenal job as Christine in this movie. Mm-hmm. I think I can't remember, is she someone who can sing or not? I mean, she sounded fantastic in this, but yeah, I thought she could. She just didn't go the music route. But yeah, the rest of this was all very well done. And quite possibly one of the better Joel Schumacher movies. So I'll put that up there, like, almost up there or above, like Falling Down. I think Falling Down was probably one of my favorites of Joel Schumacher, or Lost Boys. But yeah, Phantom of the Opera was really good. So I do have it as a C, though. Again, my same reasoning. I just think there's some other stuff that I just really liked a lot more. Sorry, Vernon. Vernon's a big fan of this. So, Torie.
I really like this movie. I think, one, the music is fantastic. Two, I think when you talk about like the erotic part of it, I think it's just a hot movie. Like, it's just it's one of those things, like, it reminds me of like Dracula almost, or like it's like that element of like I think a lot of times with like female sexuality or like the female gaze, a lot of women kind of struggle with this connection between fear and eroticism, like, you know, because it's kind of like, it's a whole rabbit hole, but basically, like, you know, the element of like, this guy could kill you, but he's also alluring and he's also interesting and he's being kind to you in some ways that is surprising to you, but he could also still kill you at any second, right? Like, it's like this like element of like, you're terrified of him, but you're drawn to him. And it does kind of remind me of Dracula in that way a lot, but I think it does that really well. I think he's mysterious, he's alluring. I think the romance is really fiery because of that. I get it. I just want to fall in love with a creepy man with a mask on beneath a stage too. Like, who doesn't? Yeah, and then the music is iconic. I mean, that organ sequence, it like, yeah, it's creepy. It's a musical. Like, this is just iconic. I mean, I grew up again in New York, and like Broadway was like an hour south of me. My mom saw this show on Broadway, front row, which is wild. And she said it was like literally like life changing. Like, it's just you when you're there, it's crazy. I have this one in A tier. I think it's solid. I think it's a must see. I watched it when I was a kid for the first time because my sisters were obsessed with it. And I think the romance is one of the better romances in movies, period.
I will also add that this is probably like the best Andrew Lloyd Webber adaptation. I haven't seen Evita, so. But it's definitely better than that one film that involved a bunch of felines.
Ooh, okay, all right. That's not on this list.
I don't know what you're talking
about. Yeah,
it's not going to be on a list. We could just agree that's going to go F tier no matter.
Oh no, it's going on a list.
It's going to go straight to F.
It's going on a list because I want to put it on a list because I want a guaranteed F tier.
I want the satisfaction of putting it in F.
Anyway, so yeah, beyond just the movie, the music from this musical is all time. The movie itself portrayed it in a fantastic way as well. The whole intro sequence for this movie, when it's kind of showing the theater, and you're hearing that dun 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 dun. Oh man, it's chills. I love this movie. I don't understand the criticism. I hear what you were saying. I understand your criticism, what you were saying. But there's overall criticism that people have towards this movie. And I don't remember any of the things people have said negative about this movie, just that people didn't like it for some reason. And I don't understand that. This movie is great to me. I absolutely I love the relationship between the two characters, the chemistry they have on screen. I actually really do like Gerard Butler in this role. It feels very different than almost anything else he's done in his career. And I think that's actually excellent for him. I think his singing is fine. I think it's great. You got, I believe, Minnie Drivers in this movie as well. So that's kind of interesting too. The way they present the songs in this movie, though, the whole masquerade sequence is fantastic. Choreography, cinematography in this movie is wonderful. Just every aspect of this movie I thought was fantastic. Easily A tier for me as well. Love it. Kind of just really want to watch it again now, honestly. Or at least listen to the soundtrack, because the music from Phantom of the Opera is too good.
Andrew Lloyd Webber's fantastic at music.
You see that image of the was it the pianist on the beach, like playing his piano, and it's just on fire?
Yeah,
that's Andrew Lloyd Webber with this musical.
Yeah.
Yes, I said pianist. Get over it.
Pianist.
All right, so you have it as A.
A.
Torie, where'd you put it?
A.
A, and I put it at C.
Ack.
So, yeah, probably the very, very top of B.
William Harold put an eggplant emoji in the chat, and I don't know what that means.
I guess he said penis.
I wasn't talking about eggplants.
He wants eggplant parmesan.
Eggplant parmesan sounds great.
Mm-hmm. I'm not a big fan of eggplant.
Bam, bam.
All right. Next one. It is time to find out what is my S tier. We started with me on Phantom of the Opera, so we're starting with Torie on Rent.
Rent? Hi, what's hi? Can I spend it?
What if I told you that this is the only movie that I didn't get to see on this list?
Oh, you're going to crush us.
I gotta make a poll.
Especially me. You didn't watch Rent?
I saw it once when I was a kid, but I don't remember it well enough to like feel confident talking about it.
That's fine.
Because I was a child and I didn't even know what AIDS was. I was like,
yeah. Okay, and to also defend this movie isn't all about AIDS, which I know is what a lot of people think when they hear of Rent or when they watch the parody from Team America World Police. So, Chris, I guess we'll start with you.
No, you go ahead.
Are you going to do a poll?
I'm going to do a poll on this one.
Okay, so those of y'all watching in chat, be on the lookout since Torie hasn't seen it. Those of y'all in the chat who have seen it, feel free to weigh in on that poll. As for me, those of y'all who know me for a while now know how much I love Rent. This is another one of those I was like super excited to finally get my brother to watch it because of this. And this is another movie I wish I could put S tier.
Oh.
Which now means that Chris knows exactly what other movies on this list is my S tier.
Yep.
I will sing these songs every day. Like at some point, I will be wandering around. One of the songs from this movie will pop in my head. I can't help it. Me and Chris watched this movie, and I sat behind him, and Chris was still like, I can hear your mouth moving still. I wasn't singing.
I can hear saliva noises.
I wasn't singing, but I was still like sitting there, like mouth moving while they're singing, and like Chris is like, I can still hear you. I'm like, I am a huge fan of Rent. The reason I'm going to drop it just a little bit lower in this case, I do have this as an A. The reason I'm dropping it to A and I'm not putting it in S is anyone who is a fan of the stage production will completely understand what I'm saying here. There was so much removed from the stage production of Rent compared to the movie that once you know what was removed, makes it really hard to enjoy the movie. And especially the second half of the movie is so quickly rushed. Everything about that is just rushed right through. There's not really spoiling anything here, but there is a character that dies towards the beginning of the second half of this movie. And in the movie, this character dies within the confines of one song. While the stage production, this character is still lasting for a good while.
They build up to it.
You see the signs. Yeah, you see the signs this character is not doing well health-wise, but it builds up to it. This one, that character's dead. All right. It's not just that, but everything in the final, there's like one crucial part involving Rosario Dawson's character Mimi in the second half that was also removed, and I feel like it was really like a good like heart and soul of her character, and they removed it in the movie. They did film it so you can watch the deleted scene on YouTube, but it's a gut punch how much they removed from this. Still like the movie. The movie was my gateway into being a Rent head, and I will forever sing the praises of the movie. I just love the stage version so much more. But yeah, I have this as an A.
Rent
head. Also I will Rent head. Yes. I will also throw in the fact that almost everyone in here, with the exception of Rosario Dawson and Tracy Toms, everyone else in this movie was the person who played that role in the original Broadway version of Rent. When Rent first opened, everyone who's in this movie was their character. So
there you go.
Anyways,
guys, make sure you're voting on that poll that's up right now. We only got 2 votes in there, so hopefully more than 2 of y'all have seen this movie. So we can get at least 1 more vote in there. Okay, well now we got 3 votes, and that 3rd vote didn't help. Anyway, Guys, so Rent for me. Yes, just watched it for the first time, and it's fine. It's fine. It didn't connect with me as much as another work by Jonathan Larson, which, surprise, is also on this list. I like the starving artist part of it. I think that's very relatable, especially to people who are broken doing stuff on YouTube. Granted, I think everything artist-wise that they were trying to accomplish and Rent was probably a lot more greater in terms of
what we're doing here,
gift to society, than what we're doing right now. But
yeah,
that's beside the point. But otherwise, like music good.
Music good.
Music good. Characters fine. Overall, I think there's a good chunk of this, for some reason, like I just don't connect to it as much, and I don't know what that is. I don't know why that is, but I just didn't feel connected with the characters as much as some other people might have been. So for me, it's middle of the road. It's C. It's in the C tier for me. And we got a C through F. So should I do another poll? Should I do a C through F poll? Or do you just want to take the middle of that one?
let's take the middle of that one.
Okay. So
D, C, and A.
D, C, and A.
See, I would have thought like you would connected a whole lot with Mark.
All
right, so
somewhat.
D, C, and A.
I'm not necessarily out here trying to like make movies specifically.
So that would put it like roughly like at the end of B. So now comes the fun question with it going at the end of B. Do we drop everything down one? Like, should we put it where Rocky Horror is and drop everything down one? Or do we want to bump everything up?
Drop it down.
You're just trying to move Rocky Horror.
Absolutely.
I think
Also,
you put it up because then Fiddler on the Roof is closer to S.
That's what I was thinking.
no.
And The Sound of Music could be an S. I think we all were fine with that.
Well, so I also understand Chris is also looking out because I know there's two other movies on this list
that are not
going to
be in the S tier.
They're going to be close to S tier for
I'm not going to let them. They both are very low.
I've only put one movie in the S tier so far, so that should tell you things.
Yeah, I know there's two other movies he's going to put S tier, and I know exactly what they are.
And they're not Les Mis.
Yeah, it's not Les Mis, so yeah. I mean... and spoilers, I actually agree with him on one of his two S's.
Yeah. La La Land. He loves La La Land.
Yeah, I love La La. All of a sudden, over the course of like the past month, I love La La Land now. So. Oh,
3 in S, 3 in A, 3 in B, huh?
I'm actually really surprised how much at least the three of us are agreeing on a lot of these,
except for our favorites.
Except for our favorites are like we've had some diehard, just solid reasons for loving the movies that we love.
It's like we're having a cage match between Rocky Horror Picture Show, La La Land, and Chicago. And what's happening is Rocky Horror Picture Show and Chicago are beating each other up. They don't know why they're beating each other up. They feel like they should, be able to coexist pretty well. And La La Land's just on the outside of the cage right now, eating popcorn and watching it.
Like, ready for me to come in here. But before we get to any more of that cage match, let's talk about Les Mis. Who's starting this one? Torie? Since you didn't get to start.
Oh, The Rent. Les Mis, I saw in theaters. What year did this come out?
2012.
12, yeah.
So I was 14, and it made me cry like 5 times. I think the first time was during I Dream a Dream, which I have to say, for people who don't like this movie, you gotta argue and give me the Anne Hathaway in that scene is fantastic.
Yep.
Like, everything else aside, I'll let you have. We can argue about it, but Anne Hathaway slayed that song. I don't even like Anne Hathaway, so if I'm saying it, like, she slayed it. I think Bring Him Home is tragic. I love Eponine. Master of the House is a banger. Like, every song is just really good.
One More
Look
Day.
Down, like the opening. Look down, don't look him in the eye.
Or
Like,
One
it's
Day
so
More.
good. Yeah, One Day More. What's Eponine's song? When she's in the rain.
I can't remember.
That one was my favorite as a little girl. Like, I just connected to that so well. Just like liking a guy who just like absolutely wants nothing to do with you. What is this? Whatever her song is, I love. On My Own, I think. Anyway, and that actress was also fantastic, and I feel like has she been in a lot since then? Who plays Eponine?
Wasn't
Eponine was
that Amanda Seyfried? Or was it someone else?
Samantha Barks.
Samantha Barks. Oh,
She's
yeah,
really
yeah,
good.
yeah.
Yeah. She's been in like a lot of stuff involving Les Mis.
Yeah, she's great. I didn't find Russell Crowe to be anything that like was noticeable as a lay viewer for me. Like, I didn't know the story of Les Mis. I didn't know the songs, and like the first time hearing them in the theater, like I did not
24601
to be. Yeah, I just found him to be like a super deep voice. I think the story is great. I haven't seen the stage production, but I think the movie is touching. It's sad. It's devastating. It's interesting, and this one for me is a B tier.
Chris?
This is an example of a movie on this list that, by all technical prowess, by all performance prowess, all of that, should rank high. My issue with it is that when I first saw it, my ear was not attuned to listening to songs the entire time, because it is an opera. They're straight up singing the entire time. No talking. Everything is song. And it was... I could not keep up with what was happening in the movie. It was the first time... Watching this movie was the first time I'd seen this story. So I did not know how anything plays out. Never watched the stage production. Never watched another version of this. And so I was lost the entire way through. Looking back, I know the gist of the story. I understand basically what was happening. And so, which case, I do agree with Torie. Anne Hathaway, I believe she got Oscar. Pretty sure. If she didn't get the award, she definitely got nominated. I know that.
She was nominated. I can't remember if she won.
Deserved. She was fantastic in the movie. Hugh Jackman, class act, staple.
Yeah.
You can never go wrong with Hugh Jackman, honestly, ever. And then, okay, so the Russell Crowe stuff is interesting because everyone claims that he has like a terrible voice, and sure, it's not like the most classically trained in the entire movie. It's definitely probably got the worst singing voice out of everybody in the movie, but it was fine. It did what needed to be done, I guess. Maybe I'm just not also classically trained in my ears to be able to hear and know what should sound fantastic. But for the most part, the movie just doesn't do it for me, because I don't have the urge to come back and rewatch it again when I wasn't keeping up with it well the first time. And that's not, again, so this is just me. I think this I will fully own as a problem with myself. It's not the movie's problem. It's not the stage production's problem. It's just that I'm not able to connect with the singing the entire time. I don't know if there was another movie. I don't think there's not another movie on our list for sure. But I don't know if there's another movie on our next list or that we're going to cover at some point where they are also singing the entire time that did connect with me. I just think I'm lost mostly when there's not like a break with some kind of spoken dialogue, you know? So that is it's a completely me thing and a completely me reason why I'm putting this in the D tier. It's not to say this movie isn't good or well made, well produced, well performed. It didn't work with me. So it's a D tier for me.
So you got D. Tori, what did you say?
A.
A.
Oh, sorry. B.
B. So B and D. I absolutely hated Russell Crowe's voice. It's complete trash. No. Yeah, the whole voice thing aside, it does sound weird. Russell Crowe was definitely someone that they casted because they wanted Russell Crowe, which, I mean, put aside the singing, name someone else who could have played Javert. Yeah, could have played him better than Russell Crowe. Russell Crowe is, in my mind, what I would see when you describe his character. So I get why they casted Russell Crowe. I mean, this is, we'll bring this up later on when we are tier ranking Sweeney Todd. Johnny Depp was not a singer either. And Johnny Depp does phenomenally well singing in Sweeney Todd. They're not all winners. Russell Crowe, he's serviceable, I guess. I mean, it works.
At that time,
it's
Ray
more
Stevenson.
It's more of we just needed Russell Crowe in this role, which makes sense. But that's probably my only negative takeaway from this movie, other than the fact that, because kind of like what Chris was saying, I don't have a problem with the fact that it's operetta, that the whole movie they're singing. It's that, yes, because they are singing the whole time, unless your ears are tuned in to being able to follow what is the story that's being told to you through song, it's very hard to connect with it. And it's hard to hear people talking when they're being melodic with their voice.
Yeah.
That mixed with my ADHD just kind of takes me out of a lot of moments in this movie. And there's a lot of times in my mind, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm watching a movie. I need to be paying attention to what's going on. What happened in the past like few minutes that I kind of just zoned out there for a bit?
He stole a loaf of bread.
Yeah. Okay. But because of that, it's a great movie. It's phenomenal. I have no problem going back and watching it again. This is my other F. But it's only because I don't have anything else to put there. Like every other movie I was able to follow and understand and connect with. I just had a hard time with Les Mis. So, and again, kind of like what I was saying at the beginning, the only movie I really just did not like was Funny Girl. Everything else I like in some form.
Yeah.
So F, and then B and C.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the tail.
D. I'm D.
You're D?
Yeah.
And Tori, you're B?
Yep.
BDF.
Which would either put it, I think that would probably put it at the beginning of D.
Which, in this case, theoretically could bump The King and I down.
Well, so 4 tiers are allowed to have 3.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to put it at the beginning of D, and we'll keep King and I hanging on the edge for dear life on D.
D and F are going to end up with 2.
Maybe.
Well, now we're about to come to.
Listen, I understand
some pretty
La La
big hard hitters.
La La Land's not S tier. And I know that we're about to talk about it. La La Land's not S tier for a lot of people, but it is going to end up in one of those tiers that have 3 in them already.
Very likely, yes.
So yeah, D and F are going to have 2.
All right.
I would just preemptively slide King and I down to F.
Let's go ahead and just have Chris start off talking about it then.
Best movie ever. Listen, I say that knowing it's best movie ever for me for right now. It definitely okay. So this one and then our next movie we're gonna talk about. Oh, it's so close between the two of them. I was tempted in dethroning La La Land by this next movie coming up for a little while, but La La Land hangs on there. This movie connects with me because I understand, having come from a background of doing theater in high school and coming from the vantage point of wanting to exist in a world where I can produce something that is meaningful to somebody in some way, and knowing that I'm not going to be doing that behind the bar at a coffee shop or, behind the desk somewhere else, or just working for someone else the entire time. I have to figure out how to make it happen for myself as well. It's kind of why I like doing the YouTube channel. It's why I want to do my own business, why I'm trying to operate my own business. A lot of it, there's a lot of connection. Well, and just Sebastian enough. Good one. There's a lot of connection in that. There was a period of time where I was very much interested in being an actor and wanted to pursue acting. So I connected with Emma Stone in that regard. She went a step further. I never got around to trying to go out and do auditions and whatnot. Just because
It just does not sound like fun.
well, it's brutal. You have to be of a certain ilk to be able to handle it. Which I'm not saying that I couldn't. I think I probably could if I was really dedicated and committed to it. It's also just really hard to do in Austin in comparison to Los Angeles. You can do it here, but it's not as easy as, living somewhere where the movies happen all the time.
There's a reason we have a friend who lived here in Austin, moved to LA, and is in movies.
Yeah. So there's a lot of aspects that connect with me. On the Sebastian side, the Ryan Gosling side, I do like smooth jazz. I'm not necessarily as big a fan of the kind of jazz that he was talking about, which was the free form. But I do like the easy listening smooth jazz. I like the calm kind of stuff. So when he's talking about like jazz in general, that does still technically fall under it. And so I kind of connected with him a little bit there. Overall, the things that get me the most on this movie is the music, 100%. How do I describe the choreography? The cinematography of this movie is amazing. The cinematography, first and foremost, I think is the highest on it, because that whole planetarium's bit in there. I love that the two of y'all are looking completely bored while I'm just super passionate about La La Land, and I appreciate that. Deal with it. My favorite movie. Neither one of y'all have your favorite movies on this list. My favorite.
For some reason, no one decided to turn Shawshank Redemption into a musical. I don't fucking know why, but whatever.
That's weird. But yeah, the cinematography of all of it, the planetarium, yeah, all that stuff. Just there's those little bits where the music just plays and Damien Chazelle lets what is just happening on screen with no dialogue really push forward what's happening between them and their relationship. Everything there's just so good. There's just like moments where everything kind of gets flipped. That moment where they fight and the smoke alarm's going off and how the camera is used there is just completely different. And then on top of it all, I'm not saying this is a reason why I'm sticking it in S tier, because I think we're very clear that it's my favorite movie.
No.
Have y'all not seen this movie with a live orchestra being played? Because
two people here have.
Because that's an experience. Right, Torie?
The only way to watch a movie is with a live orchestra.
Bingo. Yeah, easy S tier for me. I know y'all aren't going to put it in S tier, but it's an S tier for me.
All right. So everyone, like, this channel so far, this channel's been up for like what, 3-4 years, something
Give or
like
take.
that. Yeah, I don't know. What is time? Construct, who cares? And Chris has always been singing the praises of La La Land. Chris goes to other YouTube channels and sings the praises of La La Land on those channels as well.
I destroy competitors in trivia, Sabrina and Brandon, in La La Land trivia because of how much I love this movie.
So yeah, and then it's also been famously known that I'm like, it's all right. I respect this movie for the production value. Yes, some of the shots, like the shot, like the poster here, this isn't like an actual like for like how that scene in the movie looks, but that scene in the movie looks like it is shot on a sound stage, and apparently it's not. It actually was filmed at that precise moment in golden hour, basically. And like the street lamp is artificially placed there to help with like the lighting being more in the scene, diegetic, like it's supposed to be there. And just all the throwbacks to Hollywood, and like I said at the beginning of this, the nods to Singing in the Rain. It's without Singing in the Rain, you don't have La La Land, and La La Land is a major love and throwback to not
That
just
era.
Singing in the Rain, but in musicals and Hollywood and all of that passion. The People Who Dream is the theme of this movie. I'm just not a huge fan of this movie until I rewatched it a couple of weeks ago, until right before I went to Fantastic Fest. And I was like, you know what? This is a damn good movie. I appreciate what this movie does. It's gut punching. If you don't know anything about this movie, if you've never seen it, yes, this movie is a gut punch because you're not focused on what the actual focus of this movie is. You're focused on what they're wanting you to look at over here, and you're not paying attention to what's happening right here. And what's happening right here is the movie. This is just eye candy, so to speak. And yeah, it is a gut punch. You go back and now knowing what is happening over here, you're now focused on down here, and it's so much better. This movie is a love letter to those that have a dream, to those that want something more out of life than their normal mundane sitting behind a desk, delivering groceries, whatever it is. It's fantastic. This movie is good. I'm not gonna put it S tier yet because I've only recently started to come around to the wonders of La La Land that my brother has been spending years preaching about ever since this movie first came out. I do have it as a B. So
B for breaks my heart.
I mean, had I not rewatched it, this movie probably would have been going like at least D, because I still respected the nods and the throwbacks. I watched Singing in the Rain after watching La La Land. I immediately knew La La Land was coming because of Singing in the Rain.
I've been known saying this before, and I'll let Torie talk in here a second. I've been known to say this before. First time I watched this movie, was not on board. Surprisingly, thought about it for a while, and then went and I said, like, I have to see it again. I have to go see it again. Went and saw it again, fell in love. The ending of this movie gets me every single time. Every single time, tears. Just every single time. I've seen this movie, I don't know how many times now, but every single time, like 3 times in this last year. Every single time I start tearing up at the ending. It's so good. It's just so good.
Torie.
All right, Torie, crush me.
It was better with a live orchestra. I will say my favorite part about the movie is the music. I think the music is very pretty. I think like the piano line and then like watching someone play it live. Yeah. There's something about like even like the when you watch someone play it live, it's like okay, for anyone who's seen it, it's the da-na-na-na, da-na-na-na-na-na, like that.
City
The
of
way it
Stars.
slows down throughout the movie during the emotional parts, and the way it's like speeds up during the happier parts. Watching someone with their hand, it's like if you see someone play it on a piano, they're keeping their hand in one place, and like the chords, like they're able to do it just keeping their hand pretty still. And there's something about watching the hand like really slow down and the emotional parts that like made it more emotional for me, and I don't know why. Like I think that it was a very intelligent, technical, like human body, like showing sadness thing, if that makes any sense. But I think the music is so good in that way. Like I think it really tied into how sadness feels and how being in love feels, and you could just listen to the soundtrack and kind of get the story in yourself in itself. For the movie itself, like I still find it fine. I would say like my least favorite viewing was the first one, and then the second and third it was better. But I still have flaws with it that still stand out to me pretty hard. I think I've said this before, but like, not to go into the whole rabbit hole, I don't understand. Like, I know it's like the old Hollywood thing and whatever, but it just takes me out of it that it's like so white and it's talking about jazz music. Like, and it's like modern day. I just don't, it always takes me out of it. I'm just kind of like, why was this casting choice done? Like, they're both good. It's not that. It's just like when they're talking about jazz, it just feels like this like artificial version of jazz. Because I'm like, the way I know jazz, like when you watch like the Apollo documentaries and like the Apollo Theater and like these classic jazz theaters, it is like black music. Like that is what it is. So it just always takes me out of it. And I'm like, I'm just confused. Because like Singing in the Rain, I understand why there wasn't more of a diverse cast. It was a movie from whatever, the 60s, 50s, 60s?
30s.
I have a reason. Yeah, in my head, I'm like, oh, that is why this is a very white cast.
It takes place in the 30s. The movie's actually like
it doesn't make it better.
52.
Yeah, but I'm like, oh, I know why. Like, I could put it. I can when the question pops up in my head, I'm like, oh, I know why. La La Land, I still don't know why. That question still lingers in my head. That I'm like, I feel like you could have gotten the old Hollywood thing. John Legend is in it, but like, his character's kind of strange. There's a couple of characters that I find come in, they have like one little part, and then they kind of fly off the screen. So I would say, like, yeah, like my biggest flaw to put it in like a sentence is like some of it still feels floaty or lofty or unreal in a way that like doesn't hit me. I can't connect with. And for that, like it still is like at a C tier, maybe even a D tier for me. But compared to the rest of these movies is probably at a C. But the music is a bop. I just don't know. Like, I just watch it and I'm just confused with some of the characters. And I'm like, I don't understand why these like roommate girls are in this for like a dance and then they leave. You know?
Well, one of them had to leave because she was busy reliving the same day over and over and over again.
Is she in Groundhog Day?
Happy Death Day.
Happy Death Day. The big part of this is that this isn't an ensemble cast movie. It is Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling. These are the two main characters. They're not even like supporting characters to each other. They are both main characters of this movie. And so anybody else who's a part of the movie, yes, they kind of come in and come out and kind of float in and float out. But it's because they are there to be representatives of a certain part of their lives at a certain time. They're not meant to be long-standing characters throughout the entire movie.
I know. I don't like either of them enough for that to be enough for me. Like, I don't like Ryan Gosling's character. I don't like Emma Stone's character. I would not be friends with either of those people.
Yeah,
so it's like I don't dislike them enough to make it interesting enough. Like, they're not a villain. They're kind of just gray.
I think that's just personal preference. Then at that point, I don't think that's something like to hold against you in any regard or for any reason. I think that's just personal preference.
And I know other people have mentioned the white thing. That's not even like a me criticism. That's like a thing that has come up of like, why was the casting a certain way?
I'm not going to get into it. I think it's kind of silly. Honestly, I think that's kind of silly, but I'm not really going to get into it on this here program.
Yeah,
That's just me.
Every other jazz thing, it just I don't know. I'm trying to think of a comparison. I don't know. It'd be like,
I think people of any upbringing can like music of any style.
I mean, right off the top of my head,
think that.
without diving into it, so I'm just hoping it's an example that just kind of explains itself. Eminem.
Oh yeah.
No, for sure. I just think like when it's talking about a genre in so much detail,
Yeah.
it's strange that it leaves that component out. It's not that strange that he likes jazz. It's strange that they talk about jazz so much in the movie and they leave the cultural part out.
So as y'all are talking, I'm going to go ahead and start moving the things down because, like, the way this is going right now, King and I is going to go F because I know the next movie we're about to talk about is going to be higher than that. So yes, Torie, there's no way your opinion of the next movie is going to
during this movie.
Well,
I have not been able to get through it.
Keep in mind, there's one more movie that I haven't put in the S tier yet.
Yeah.
I literally don't even remember the middle.
I also have one more movie that I have not put in S tier yet.
It's not going to be in the F tier, no matter
it's
if
not
you
going
put it in
to
the
F.
F tier.
I mean, yeah, but it's not going to be in an S.
Torie, you're going to have to put it like in the Q tier, which there isn't one. So
I have to put it in the I fell asleep during it tier.
All right. So our final movie out of our rankings again. Y'all want to like show off your rankings? What did you think of all these? Send those into the Streamlabs. I will read those off shortly. Make sure you stay tuned because I will be telling you what's going to be happening next month for the Marquee. It's October. You know what's coming. So, it is the anniversary of the Marquee. Actually, it started in October. But our final movie to talk about is the 2021 classic Tick, Tick, Boom.
I love that you said 2021 classic.
It is. It's already a classic movie.
Not. No one knows.
2 years later.
No one my age cares about Tick, Tick, Boom. I need you to know.
So I'm going to start this one off. And it's funny that I'm giving this one S tier instead of Rent. Rent, again, was, for those of y'all who might not understand the link between them, Tick, Tick, Boom is essentially a movie about Jonathan Larson, the person who wrote the play of Rent. So if you watch Tick, Tick, Boom and you watch Rent, you will see the similarities between them. There's a lot of connections between them. The movie Tick, Tick, Boom has a lot of Easter eggs and nods to Rent. So yeah, it's kind of surprising I'm going to put Tick, Tick, Boom over Rent, even though I love Rent, and I've loved Rent for years, and Tick, Tick, Boom is just recent. I like the fact that it's the story of the creator and how he made his play while dealing with the struggles in his life. It just hits way too close to home for me, as I struggle with the necessities of life, having a full-time job and crippling depression at some points while trying to do something creative like build a YouTube channel, trying to do something on my channel, which actually I've got a really good idea and I'm about to do something probably within the next week or two.
Great little plug there. Good job.
Yeah. Well, I got hair in my... Thanks, Lola. Anyways, don't ask. But yeah, like I feel connected on a creative, spiritual level, I guess, to Jonathan Larson through the performance of Andrew Garfield. Andrew Garfield just does an amazing job at playing Jonathan Larson. And again, if you are a fan of Rent, if you've read up anything about Jonathan Larson, who he is, you get that connection. And this is just so very well done. It's Andrew Garfield's performance in this is just absolutely amazing. And I feel like it is I feel like this is hyperbole or whatever. I feel like it's an absolute treasure that we were given this movie, that Lin-Manuel Miranda created or directed Tick, Tick, Boom.
I forget that he directed this. Wow, yeah.
Yeah. It shows. It is one of the best, not only musicals, it is one of the best pieces of cinema to have ever come out. And yeah, anyone who shares that kind of drive, that kind of spirit that Jonathan Larson, that Andrew Garfield is showing in this movie, you understand why and connect with it. There's no way I'm putting this movie anything lower than an S. For my opinion. I know that Torie's probably going to bring this down a bit, but good luck.
Let's make a sandwich. Tori, you go.
Yeah.
I fell asleep during this movie after the dress rooftop shenanigans. I don't even know what went on with that.
The green dress.
Yeah, I don't care. I've seen this story so many times. This is basically Bo Burnham's Inside, let's be really honest. And didn't that come out this year, that same year, also 2021?
I think it came out like towards the end of 2020.
It felt literally the same to me. I was like, white artistic dude having an existential crisis.
The pandemic kind of does that.
Yeah, this feels like a pandemic movie in a weird way to me too. Yeah, of like dude having an existential crisis about something. It literally is Bo Burnham's. That would be a double feature. Is Bo Burnham's Inside and Tick Tick Boom. I thought Andrew Garfield was fine. I just don't even remember the movie. Like I watched the beginning and then I fell asleep and then I saw the ending. So obviously I don't remember the middle, but I feel like I've seen the story a million times before and that there was nothing that remarkable about it. And then the music felt unrememberable to me. And I haven't heard a lot of people talk about this movie since then. Like, it feels like this movie is one of those that like happened and people liked it the year it came out, and then that's kind of been it. Whereas like La La Land I hear about still. Even from like lay people. I don't know how much this hits with like the average person. I don't know. Yeah, I felt like I had heard the story a million times before. And then Bo Burnham's Inside, I think I saw like very soon before I saw this. And it just felt like the same thing again. I'm not a huge Lin-Manuel Miranda person. I thought like Hamilton was good. But then everything else he's kind of done, I've been very meh about.
In the Heights.
Yeah. Very meh. And didn't he have something to do with like Aladdin or one of the Disney ones? Or am
Moana.
Moana. Moana's great, but like I don't know. I feel like didn't he have another Disney project that was more recent?
He did Coco and Moana.
I feel like there's something that's like even more recent than that I was.
Is he part of Encanto?
Even more recent, like maybe like one of the Little Mermaid remake. Didn't he write one of the songs?
Oh, he did. Yeah, he did one of the songs in the.
He did the Scuttlebutt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
like the very recent Lin-Manuel Miranda, like post 2020.
That's a very divisive track for that movie.
Yeah. I've like post 2020 Lin-Manuel Miranda. I've felt very lax about.
Was it not Coco? Was it Encanto instead? It was one of those two.
I think it was Encanto.
Maybe yeah. So this is F tier for me. I would not go. The only reason I might want to go back to rewatch it is because everyone keeps like talking about it, but it was one of like I didn't connect with it at all. I didn't find any of the songs to hit for me, so it's like I don't know what I would watch it for if not those things. So yeah, I have it at F tier.
You would watch it for Andrew Garfield's incredible performance.
I don't think it's even that good.
It's
that I think that Ryan Gosling in La La Land is better.
Okay, Tori,
but it's kind of the same.
With all due respect,
though.
your part's done.
I think it's done here. The same vibe. But again, I saw Bo Burnham do it like a month before I watched this movie, and I was like,
"We got our negative sandwich filling. It's time for some positive bread again."
No, what does he do in this that's like new?
I think a part of it is you do have to understand like the
true story.
It's a true story about Jonathan Larson, and that's where to that point most people just don't. Most people have heard of Rent. They know that Rent exists. If you talk about Rent, most people are like, "Oh yeah, it's that musical about AIDS." No, but most people don't know who Jonathan Larson is. And
honestly, I think it's also I've never connected with the whole career storyline. Like the La La Land thing too. It might be that. I don't care about dreams. I don't I've never had a dream. I've never Like there's things that I'd like to do, but if they don't happen, that doesn't affect my like happiness. So I can't connect with the idea of like wanting something and then dealing with the tragedy of it not happening, or dealing with like the love of it happening. I've never dreamed for something in that way. Like I've just been like, whatever happens in my life, I hope that like I have good friends and that I have quality relationships, and no matter what job I end up doing, like it'll be okay. So I don't connect at all with like the career storyline or like plot point. I don't know. I've never had a dream. So I'm like, I don't relate to anyone talking about like their dream in a movie.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of like, I don't even know what that is.
Yeah. So this movie gets me emotional. Like I said before, it definitely was putting La La Land on the chopping block for a little while. In fact, if I watch it again, that could flare back up, honestly. It is, I don't know how to describe. I mean, obviously my brother described a lot of it in the best way already. The music hits for me. Andrew Garfield's performance is stellar in my mind. He's fully embodying a complete, like, I don't see Andrew Garfield. I see who I'm supposed to know Jonathan Larson as while watching this movie. And this is also coming from someone who, when I first saw this movie, had not seen Rent, had no like real connection to Rent, no real connection to Jonathan Larson at all, honestly. Barely any connection with Stephen Sondheim and what musicals he's produced in his long illustrious career. And so like the inroad points for this story, I wasn't even on there. I was just connecting with the idea of who he was, what he was wanting to accomplish with his life, what he was wanting to do, and what he was wanting his art, what he was wanting his creation to mean to people and to actually produce. That's where I got zeroed in. And then on top of that, this movie portrayed his friendships so well. There are multiple moments in this movie that get me emotional, based purely on his connection to his friends and the other people in his life. And then on top of that, just the ending, of course, being emotional based on seeing and knowing what happened in Jonathan Larson's life, what he went on to be able to accomplish before, unfortunately and sadly, passing away. There's just so much. There's so much. Like, I feel like as soon as I turn this camera off, I'm going to remember every inch and every detail of this movie that I absolutely enjoy. But just everything about the performances, I think, is the main thing to go off of here for me. His dedication to making sure he gets Jonathan Larson right and portrays him in the right way, I think was killer. I think the creative choices that Lin-Manuel Miranda made, especially on that diner song,
yeah, Sunday,
bringing in all those big Broadway stars that he's been connected with, stars that Jonathan Larson was connected with, and having them kind of come in and sing that song, I think was a beautiful love letter to Broadway and the theater as a whole. I can't put it less than an S tier. It's easy S tier for me as well, for sure.
Yeah. So that being said,
we have a, or I guess if we're sandwiching, it's
trash.
Torie, be respectful.
Sleepable.
Torie, be respectful.
Sleepable. Were you respectful of Rocky Horror Picture Show? No.
Yes, I was. I said I did the positive sandwich thing. I gave a positive. I said I didn't like it, and I gave another positive.
I can't give a
yes,
positive.
I was respectful.
I was asleep for it.
I was absolutely respectful for Rocky Horror Picture Show.
I was asleep.
nonsense.
I'm thinking with 2 S's and an F, so it would be in the middle between S and F, but then the second S is gonna bring it up.
That's the most whiplash grading I've ever seen on this program.
Well,
Yeah.
you could push Rent down because Rent was the one that like we had to do the third vote on.
Yeah. Well, again, because of the placement and everything and what we were saying already, Tick Tick Boom is going to go above Rent. So Rent is the absolute. It's not dropping below that.
Fiddler goes up. Tick Tick Boom goes
Yeah.
somewhere in that B tier.
I'm actually thinking, and I'm going to just go ahead and jump straight to the how would you move things around? Are we happy with where everything's at? For Tick Tick Boom specifically, I'm going to tack it on at the end of A. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and make some changes, and I'm pretty sure y'all are going to agree.
Fiddler goes up for sure.
Fiddler is going to go up, and I have absolutely no problem with that.
I think Tick Tick should still be B and Phantom should be A.
So the change I'm going to make here that first of all,
I do feel weird that Little Shop is so high, but
La La Land's going to go above.
We can switch that
Little
one
Shop.
in Chicago.
I am also going to put Tick Tick Boom over Little Shop.
You're giving me way too
Tick
much.
is not an A when I had an F.
You're giving me way too much here.
Well, so what was going to end up happening is between the 2 S's and the F, it was going to go. I'll use Little Shop. It was going to go somewhere like right here, and now I'm just straight jumping into. Do we want to move anything around?
I think Phantom would be an A before Tick Tick Boom would be an A. Because what was our lowest rating for Phantom? I think I gave it an A.
I was like C.
I think I was A.
Yeah, so like that one overall, to me, has a higher rating than Tick Tick Boom.
AAC versus SSF.
Yeah. Like that one, putting it in A to me. Like Tick Tick, just, yeah. I'd be fine with anything in B right now being an A over Tick Tick Boom.
I don't know if I could do that. I could entertain, like, if you want to move Phantom potentially up over Little Shop, but that's giving up a lot because I really love Little Shop. But I'm okay with that if you want to do that. I don't know. I
just want Tick Tick Boom lower.
I can't put Phantom over Tick Tick Boom though. I'm too personally connected to the story of Tick Tick Boom.
Well, also,
But we're talking about just like the ratings itself. Like Tick Tick shouldn't even be. It should be at the end of A if it's in A, or at the top of B. So Little Shop should be higher than it technically, and then it's just an argument about if we want to put anything from B in its place in A.
Well, so this isn't so much as let's go back and look at what we rated each of these. It's just now that we have them all on the board, which movie do you feel like is better than the others?
Yeah, I just don't see Tick Tick being an A at all.
Yeah, I don't see Tick Tick being an A either. I see it being an S.
I mean, our S is solid to me. Like, The Sound of Music is, and Singing in the Rain and Fiddler on the Roof are like must-watch musicals.
Those, like, I'm okay with those 3 being an S.
But then Phantom of the Opera is also, I mean, you could argue like the movie version of that play is the issue. Like, you mainly have with it, you'd argue, Robert, right? Like, you like the stage production. You have problems with the movie adaptation. So it's like, I could see that one.
But
yeah, I could see that one being in B. But then Chicago and Rent, I think, are solid A placements over Tick Tick to me.
You know, actually, I'll tell you what. I will agree that maybe let's swap Little Shop and Chicago. We'll put Chicago up in A, Little Shop where Chicago's at in the middle of B.
That doesn't crush my soul.
It'll make me accept the Tick Tick Boom better, but I gave one thing F.
And
y'all
compromise.
Wait. One more thing. Torie, what did you rate Chicago?
S.
So Chris rated La La Land S. I rated Tick Tick Boom S, and you rated Chicago S, and all 3 of our S's are now in A. Compromise. With the exception that I also rated Tick Tick Boom, or Chris also rated Tick Tick Boom and S also, but whatever.
Yeah.
I'm all for that.
Yeah,
I'm
like
not arguing.
Jeremy's comment, Fiddler goes up on the roof. Exactly.
Yeah, well, that's where it went.
I feel good about this, and not specifically because I have both La La Land and Tick Tick Boom in the A tier, but because we have the respectful Singing in the Rain, Sound of Music, Fiddler on the Roof. We have these movies that you should respect, whether they're your favorites or not.
Up there.
Up there in the S tier. And then underneath that is, okay, now let's get into ones that we personally enjoy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
La La Land, Tick Tick Boom, Chicago.
I would still want to argue for Rocky Horror being a little higher. If not, if you don't like the
You
movie,
could
it's
switch it
more.
with, sorry.
It's
you can switch
more
it with
of
Rent.
switch it with what? Rent?
But I know you don't want to do that. I mean, I'd also be okay.
Those are still two. For me personally, those two are so close together, it's kind of negligible. It doesn't really matter which one of those two.
You could switch it with Phantom, because like I hear your argument about Phantom. I think you're right. Of like, I've never seen the stage production, and I hear what you're like. I think that's a valid criticism of like the movie adaptation maybe is flawed in terms of when we're talking about adapting a musical into a movie. I do think you have to talk about how the stage production then changes and how loyal these movies are if they did have a stage production in the first place. And I think you could argue then for Phantom being lower because of that.
Stop
William Errolowl over here.
Stop it. Stop.
Okay, so switch Rocky Horror with Phantom.
Or at least like put Phantom in Rocky Horror's place, and then Rocky Horror can just be in B somewhere. Whether it's at the end of B or something.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Potentially
Yeah.
saying switch Rent and Rocky Horror.
Well, put Rocky Horror. So we're put
At the end of B.
At the end of B.
And then putting Phantom in C. Yeah.
And then move Little Shop, Rent, and Rocky Horror over. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't dream it, be it. Because yeah, the Phantom thing. Like, I think I like the Phantom storyline, but that's all I've ever experienced is the movie versions.
I mean, I don't like Phantom of the Opera going lower, but also I have La La Land and Tick Tick Boom in the A tier here.
Yeah.
And so
you
my
can
part,
shut the hell up.
my part in this is pretty much done. As long as we're not going back on those choices,
I think you should just re-switch the order of A and put Chicago first.
Torie.
All right, good night, Torie.
Like ahead of La La Land, like it's better than La La Land.
I mean,
I just brought you back on.
I would argue to put Tick Tick Boom over La La Land, but that's back to Chris, and Chris is saying that he could at any given moment he could juggle either way.
Let me watch Tick Tick Boom again and we can revisit that.
They're the same movie.
I know.
Talking about
That's why they're neck and neck.
Tick Tick Boom is more of a
Go
straightforward.
I need you both to go watch La La Land, Tick Tick Boom, and Bo Burnham's Inside, and then tell me that I'm not wrong.
Are you
I do
really
need
telling
to
Chris that he needs to go watch La La Land?
Yes.
That's
Be
like
the fourth time this year.
That would be the fourth time this month.
Yep. Bo Burnham's Inside is Tick Tick Boom.
The third time this month.
It would be the
actually.
fourth time.
Chat, am
within
I
the last
wrong
2
though
months.
about that? Like, I could be wrong about my Tick Tick Boom opinions, but Bo Burnham's Inside is Tick Tick Boom. It's a prequel.
I do need to watch the Bo Burnham Inside.
Let's be honest.
I like Kat's idea. Let's go with Kat here. Let's just take a break, rewatch Tick Tick Boom, and then reconvene.
I'll fall asleep again. I'm not going to stay up.
I mean, okay, no, Nerd's here with the logic. Yes, technically, we both gave Tick Tick Boom S while La La
But I
Land.
gave it an F, which brings Tick Tick lower. Get it out of here. I don't even want it above Chicago.
All right, so we're gonna
Chicago's an Oscar win. Did Tick Tick Boom win an Oscar?
This looks good to me.
So we're gonna
Did Tick Tick Boom win an Oscar?
First of all, we're going to make Torie watch Rent,
I'll watch Rent.
and then we'll go back and have her watch Tick Tick Boom, knowing
And fall asleep.
knowing the full story of
No.
Jonathan Larson by that point.
Yeah, so that's the other thing too. You fell asleep during that movie?
Yeah.
You missed most of it.
Yeah, because it put me to sleep.
All All right, guys. It is after midnight where we're at, and I still need to eat. And yeah, we got stuff we gotta do. So let's wrap this up. Other than that, I think everything else seems pretty straightforward. I'm happy with where everything else is.
I'm game. Put it on Twitter. Let's see what happens.
I just want Tick Boom to be lower, but
well, Torie, you can voice the opinion on the tweets tomorrow. Well, actually, that would be interesting. I want to see how many people actually agree with Torie and in some kind of rationale reasoning.
Well, who else in our kind of community didn't like Tick Boom?
Not many.
Very few people.
Yeah, a lot of people that we know that we talk to regularly all love Tick Tick Boom.
I also didn't like Bo Burnham's Inside, so I really just have a problem with people crying about their life. I don't know. I don't.
Torie's coming in with the quotes tonight, y'all. I don't like dreams.
I don't like.
I don't like people crying about their life.
I've never had a dream. I don't like people crying about their.
What the hell is joy?
I'm just like, you're at okay, like you have to have enough money to dream, and I just have, I've never been at the stage.
No, you don't have to have enough money to dream. That's why they call them dreams.
No,
Jeremy,
you need your base. It's the hierarchy of needs. Nerd back. What's that thing called? Is it Erickson, where it's like you need food, shelter, stability.
Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I'm about to do a video about it. How important it is to go to the bathroom on the hierarchy of needs. So yes, I will be diving into Maslow's hierarchy of needs here very shortly.
Dreams are at the top. Anyway.
Jeremy, people are going to be upset. Do you think they're going to be upset that it's not higher or that it's not lower?
Sorry, that's not higher, and you know
higher.
What? They can just be upset.
We could move it with Tick Tick Boom right now.
No, we're not going to do that.
Or La La Land.
Even though I wanted to throw Rocky Horror into S, I still would have rated Tick Tick Boom higher in the S tier than Rocky Horror.
You know what? Nerd says that he thinks this is good, and I agree with Nerd. Let's move on and read his list.
Yes. So for Nerd's list, Nerd had it S tier, Singing in the Rain, La La Land, Fiddler on the Roof. I mean, pretty close.
I like that S tier.
A tier, Sound of Music, My Fair Lady. B tier, Tick Tick Boom, West Side Story, Rocky Horror. C tier, Grease and Chicago. D tier, Little Shop of Horrors and Rent. And F tier, Les Mis. He has not seen Phantom of the Opera, King and I, or Funny Girl.
Nerd, go watch Phantom of the Opera.
I mean, that's still a good. That's pretty decent.
Chicago's in C tier, and that's unacceptable.
Would like to have seen Little Shop and Rent a little higher, but
King and I currently is only available, I believe, on Vudu. So if you want to watch King and I anytime soon, it's $4 on Vudu.
Higher. Well, at least Lego will be upset. Hey, everyone can attest that I tried. I know
Lego. If Lego watches this back, she's going to hate me.
I know William Harold's got my back. That I did my best trying to get Rocky Horror up. So, anyways, let us go ahead and Carl, hit it.
Woo.
He wanted to get out of here.
Damn good at his job. Yeah, I do too. Got food to eat and beds to sleep. That sounded weird. Next month, guys. Again, this will be. I think next month is actually celebrating 2 years of the Marquee. We started it in October, like 2 years ago, and we came out the gate swinging with that because we were doing a Marquee, like I think every Friday or Saturday or whatever it was.
How young and naive.
Yeah. Whew. I don't know how I managed to do that, but I can't do that again. I'm not doing every single one. This year, I'm doing 2 Marquees in October. The benefit this year is I want to take a break. Even though I do want to watch horror movies, I have absolutely no problem watching horror movies. I want to see horror movies sporadically instead of being forced to watch horror movies just for a Marquee list. So this year, we are taking a break from kind of having to watch any new movies. There's 2 of them, and I believe, where is my calendar? First Marquee is going to be on Friday, the 13th.
Hey.
And my dumbass didn't realize this at the beginning of the year when we were tier ranking Friday the 13th on Friday, January 13th, that there was going to be a Friday the 13th in October, and that would have been the more preferred time to rank the Friday the 13th.
Whoops.
Instead, this year, we're going to tier rank horror villains. So expect to see Freddy and Jason and Michael and anyone else who could be a horror villain. I want people either message me directly, like on Twitter, tag me in a tweet, or tag Cinefanatics. Let me know what horror villain you would want to see in there. Are you a big fan of the tall man from the Phantasm series? Do you have a soft spot for Jaws? What about Annie Wilkes from Misery?
How do you feel about the white people in Get Out?
The white people in Get Out, yes. Send those in. I want to know your opinions, who you think, because I'm creating the list, and I mean, I could just throw villains all over the place. So I want to narrow this down to it.
I believe we have a question.
Yes, Tori.
Are we ranking who we have a crush on, who we want to kiss the most, or are we ranking who we like them?
Homelander is not a horror villain. I see what you're trying to do.
Is an instrument.
I see what you're trying to do, and no, we're not putting Homelander on a horror.
The girlies also love Ghostface, so it's not just Homelander.
Is there a specific Ghostface, or is it just
like
Ghostface
the
in general?
Mask. It's like a huge thing on TikTok.
Okay. Anyways, so that's the first one. The second marquee, I'll go ahead and announce here as well. The second marquee is going to be on Friday the 27th.
William Harold's comment: vote for the crackers. Get Out for a third time if I could.
That's awesome. Good job, William Harold. Wow.
Anyway.
On Friday, October 27th, the final marquee of October, we are tier ranking Final Girls. So same things. Let me know via Twitter or whatever. Which Final Girl do you want to see in there? So expect to see Laurie Strode or Sydney Prescott. Or yes, Chris.
Are we tier ranking which final girl we want to kiss the most?
No, only the killers.
I'm trying to think of all the actresses that I know my brother has a crush on, and how many of them have been final girls in a horror movie.
None.
I don't think any of them.
No.
I can't think of. I'll maybe figure out as soon as I click in stream on this. I'll think of one. Like Natalie Portman was in some like random horror movie as
I have a couple.
I mean, Black Swan.
Yeah. She's not a final girl.
No. Anyways, so that is what's coming up for October. So 2 marquees. The 13th is horror villains. 27th is final girls. Who's going to be the guess? You could probably guess, actually. There's a couple of like loyal go-tos and people who are going to be very opinionated on some of these.
I don't know who that'd be. It's weird.
Anyways. Yeah, I know we just did the whole Brady Bunch thing there. So that is what's coming up. As far as this marquee, I will clean up that image. I will post it up on Twitter. Please feel free to retweet, give your opinions, tell us how stupid we are. We love it all. Just feel free to do all of that fun stuff on Twitter tomorrow. So
maybe don't go so harsh on how stupid I am. Mentally, I've not been great lately.
Yeah. So please be nice. We're fragile. We're fragile right now. So, anyways, other things coming up. After tonight, I will be actively working on a ranking video, not a short, but a full-on ranking video. I will be ranking everything I watched at Fantastic Fest. If you want to know like hidden gems that like no one else has heard of, and I hadn't heard of it until I was sitting in the theater watching the movie. That's going to be a place to keep an eye out. So come watch that video. It's going to be a lot of fun. I have some good recommendations of at least 2 movies that you need to have on your radar that were phenomenal. So,
and listen, if you're if you've got your fill on me being on this channel tonight, it's gonna go back to being just my brother.
It's
very
going
soon.
to be all Robert all the time. So keep an eye out for that. I will try to have that out over the next couple of days or so. So
You gotta eventually give Chris the whole month of October where it's just like silly, goofy, scary, spooky movies that have a little ounce of pumpkins in them.
yeah, I think I think this year for October we're going to carry on the tradition of trying to make my brother watch a horror movie. I think for the Patreon watch along we're aiming for Psycho, the original Psycho, not the 1998 travesty. So although we could watch that, it's a shot for shot remake. So
that's all right. That's fine.
We're not watching that one.
No, so in a future October where it's just me, we're going to be ranking horror movies, the likes of Charlie Brown and the Great Pumpkin, Disney's Mickey Mouse Horror Haunted Clubhouse,
The Haunted Mansion.
We might be including Nightmare Before Christmas. That one's a little too scary, but it might slip in there still.
Yeah.
Scooby-Doo and Zombie Island.
Scooby-Doo.
That's a horror movie for a completely different reason.
The live-action Scooby-Doo movie, for what the reason my brother just said, that is a horror movie.
Bomb, though. Come on.
Derby fully loaded because I'm trying to make Torie feel bad for some reason.
Thank you.
Anyways, that is going to do it for tonight. Those of y'all who watched live, thank you for being here. Very much appreciate it. If you're watching this on a replay, we absolutely love you watching this as well. Make sure y'all hit that like button. Comment below if you're watching on a replay. What did you think? Where was your rankings? Did you like where everything ended up? Let us know down below. Make sure you follow us here for everything we are doing. Follow us on social media. We are at The Cinefanatics on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok now. I got to put a TikTok logo in there somewhere, and I don't know where. But yeah, we've got short videos. It's basically my out of the theater reactions so far and a couple of rankings on TikTok. We'll get Chris on there at some point as well. So
we got to go to the theater and watch another movie that I'm seeing too.
Yeah. Torie, what would you like to plug?
Torie X Rose, spelled how it is down
I
here.
did not spell that right.
Put my X.
God damn it. All right.
Torie X Rose. On Twitter, Instagram, everything else, TikTok. Yeah, I don't think I have really anything else right now. I'm on my socials. There's a link for my writing portfolio GoFundMe. I have a GoFundMe up to try and build my writing portfolio. Self-explanatory. I really am trying to pursue writing, creative writing. There's more details at the link. But yeah, if you're feeling generous in that sense, the GoFundMe is probably going to be up for a bit. It would mean a lot to me, and it would help me be able to get some essays and things out and get some feedback on my writing. So yeah, I think that's all I got for right now.
Yeah. Otherwise, you can follow me at Robert Adams MLP on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, also youtube.com/@RobertAdamsMLP.
And you can follow me at Chris Adams MLP on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd, as well as twitch.tv/ChrisAdamsMLP.
All right. Anyways, that is going to do it for tonight. Thank y'all for watching. Again, very much appreciate y'all being here. We will see you on the next one. I forgot what I was going to end this with. I had an idea for something, and I can't remember. Oh, well. Bye.